We be casting off now.
Hello and welcome to the From the Spirit World podcast, a legendary Avatar: The Last Airbender and the Legend of Korra podcast for overlyanimated.com. We are here podcasting episode by episode on the new Netflix live-action Avatar series. Whether the show is great, terrible, or anything in between, I think it will be fun to talk about it all with the old From the Spirit World crew. New podcasts will be generally out every Friday, Monday, and Wednesday for the next few weeks as we're going episode by episode. I am your host, Dylan, and today I'm joined by Delaney.
Hey, y'all.
Mel.
Hello.
Allie.
Hi.
And Jeff.
Hello.
And other From the Spirit World favorites will be joining us throughout this series. So, like I said, episode by episode, so we are only talking about the first episode, Aang, of this new, such a exciting title of this.
Can I say, when that popped up, did not know that was the title, and I just thought like it was.
Here's Aang's perspective.
Yeah, I was like, oh, is it like Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
oh my God.
It could have been. No, called Aang, and we will just be talking about this. So anyway, to start, before that, to start, this is a big deal podcast mini-series here because we are reuniting the From the Spirit World crew, which to maybe 100 of you is a very big deal.
That's a big number. I feel like that's generous.
Look, a lot of people used to listen to us when we were children. And
I used to.
And well, look, so here's the history of From the Spirit World and Overly Animated. We are original Avatar fans when Avatar was initially airing, starting in the podcast started in 2007. I started the From the Spirit World podcast, and we talked about season 3 at least while it was airing originally. We talked about Legend of Korra while it was airing. We've been long time in the weeds Avatar and Korra fans. After Korra, I started Overly Animated, talking about other animated shows and movies, and us in various forms throughout the past many years have been talking about shows there. So I'm still going at overlyanimated.com, and we decided to bring back From the Spirit World to talk about this new Netflix Avatar show that just premiered today on Netflix, obviously. If you are someone who is not super excited or skeptical, or look, I think that it doesn't matter really if you like the show because it's going to be fun talking about it, right? That's kind of the idea here. So I have no idea if all of us even like this first episode. We're going to find out. And I do want to note that we're all huge fans of Avatar, but we have varying levels of recent exposure. I don't even know to what extent most people have watched Avatar or Korra recently. Personally, it's been a long time since I've watched. I did not do a rewatch before this, so I'm going to warn that every detail may not immediately come to mind. But look, we know all of this. Don't worry.
Someone
will correct stuff if I don't remember something.
I'll be the person in the comments correcting retroactively.
Please do. It's much better to correct on air because then we'll get comments after. I'll ask some questions because I don't remember exactly how things were done in the premiere compared to what
I got you.
We have watched some of us have watched only up to the episode we are covering here, episode 1. So spoilers in this podcast only up to the episode here, and please no spoilers in the comments or anywhere else you interact with this podcast past this episode, so people can watch along with us as we go through. Yes, they did change things, so there will be spoilers. I do know that. But we will be in full spoiler territory for the original Avatar and also Korra throughout the entire podcast series. So if you've not seen Avatar or Korra, you might be spoiled. But
what are you doing? Go watch it right now.
Yeah.
I don't imagine that is many people here.
But honestly, it's more than I thought. I've already been seeing people, like my friend watched this adaptation and they're like, what's the cartoon about? And they're drifting towards that, so.
That's good. I do hope it exposes even more people to Avatar before we start getting the Avatar Studio stuff and not.
Yeah.
So
more support for that too.
Yeah. And what else do I have to say before we...
Also, Avatar and Korra are both on Netflix, so you can watch all three at the same time even.
Also, you should read the Kyoshi and Yang Chang novels for sure. Don't you?
Subtweeting.
Okay.
You
Subtweeting.
haven't read them. Don't
You're
talk to me.
subtweeting me.
Okay, we'll
Go
talk
ahead.
about it. Okay, we can
she's
go
also
through all this.
subtweeting me. It's okay.
I haven't finished the intro. What else?
I'm subtweeting everybody.
Send
No one's
us
read it but me.
send us your questions and comments for us to read on the upcoming podcast. Podcast@overlyanimated.com. On your thoughts on every episode. If you just put in the title of the email, what episode there's spoilers up to, so I won't read it until we get to that podcast and to that episode. So you can send in your thoughts if you just binge the whole show and want to send us your thoughts for us to eventually read on the podcast. You can do that. So hopefully we'll incorporate people's feedback. And if you binge the whole thing and are now listening, it's fine. Like, hear what we thought of episode 1, and eventually we'll hear what we thought of the rest. So I think it's okay. I don't think we need to.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna draw this out. We'll see if it's a mistake. I haven't seen past episode 1. I don't really know.
What do you mean?
If we'll see, look, maybe we're on episode 4 and it's like a half-hour podcast with nothing.
Oh, I
about.
see.
You know, we'll find out. But I imagine there will be things to talk about. We can always just talk about it. See, I don't want to call it like original Avatar. You know what I mean? Like,
But it is.
the animated show, because original is, I feel like it's giving this show too much significance. It's
right,
not
yeah,
like,
this isn't a remake.
Yeah, it's like its own thing, the animated Avatar. So we can always just talk about normal animated Avatar.
Yeah.
Okay, all of that being said, let's talk about episode 1. Aang, again, we were just talking about this episode. We're not spoiling beyond it. Initial thoughts, anything related to what you thought of the premiere. Delaney, what did you think?
I really enjoyed it. So I had no expectations coming into the show. I just wanted to sit down and watch it. I have one gripe, and it's that it's dark.
Yes, agree.
Can't see anything. Like the first scene, I'm like, it's dark. What's going on?
Oh, in the Fire Nation.
Yeah, and we're like, we're in Capital City. I'm like, cool. What's going on? I need binoculars. What are you doing down there? I really enjoyed like the opening scene, especially. Like, it was really interesting, and I think they did a good job of like setting. You know, there's kind of a lot we kind of have to get through in 8 episodes, and they're like, all right, first episode, we have to dump all this exposition on you, and I think they did a really good job, especially parts that we know that they are omitting or altering to fit the timeline. You know, since this is a live action show versus, you know, the kids are not going to age in the animated show because we literally make them look how we want them to.
So that is a thing that they said that they might time skip more because season 2 they'll be older. But did you get that sense? Did you get any of that sense from watching this first episode?
I did not. Like, I was kind of a little shocked. Like, I was like, okay, we are going to mention Sozin's comment because there were comments prior to this that they were.
Yeah, you're just referencing things you read. Yeah,
Yeah.
They might say Sozin's comment is coming in like 5 years instead of a few.
Yeah,
months.
right. Like, so they were like, you know, the last, which they did mention, you know, they Grand, who has the scariest, just staring into your skull. Just, she was making me uncomfortable. Which I was really excited to see Grand. You know, that, you know, 100 years ago, Sozin's comment. So maybe they're just going to change it. It's not, you know, every 100 years. But I really enjoyed the episode. I think the visuals were really striking, and also, you know, just like the little like nerd in me, like the Fire Nation ship is just like spot on. Like, they're stupid little pointy ships. And I just really enjoyed it.
Nice.
And I think tonally it was really interesting as well. You know, you can tell they're going this more like darker. But I do think and also, I mean, it was really nice to see more. Honestly, I felt like you got to see more airbending and more of the air nomads than you do in the animated show.
Yeah.
So I thought I actually really enjoyed like starting, sure. You know, we started in the past. So I thought that was interesting.
Nice. Okay. Look, we have a positive opinion from Delaney to start things off.
My wife also enjoyed it.
Okay.
I wish she was here.
I have more. Don't worry. There will be more Tanya thoughts.
Okay.
Coming in. Don't worry.
Good. Got it. Okay. Will the positive tone hold up? Let's see what Mel thought of the first episode. What do you think of the premiere?
I am of many minds. I mean, you know, we'll get in the weeds in a bit, I'm sure, but I felt the pacing, like apart from the changes and stuff, I separate that out, the story changes and that sort of thing. I thought the pacing was bizarre. Like for the first like act of it, I guess you would say, the first quarter, like I was like, okay, this is, I'm with this choice of what they're doing for the like economy of the exposition and what they're showing us and jumping and stuff. But then I feel like, they were like, okay, like he crashes in the iceberg, and then we cut right away to the water tribe, and I'm like, oh, okay, like they want it to be like a big like reveal toward later in the episode that it's been 100 years. Like they don't want the audience to know that. But then they sort of just like lost that momentum. They just sort of like dropped it very casually, and I was like, oh, so all this pacing at the beginning now doesn't make sense.
I was waiting for them to be like 100 years later, like something like at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They had the locations.
Yeah, and like, ultimately the arc of it, I get it. It was like Aang, well, I guess we'll get into this bit, but Aang, quote unquote, left the temple. And then, stuff went down. And then, it's all about, this episode's about him, coming back, accepting his responsibility, his identity, etc. I just think the middle bits really muddied that. But, there were things that I didn't hate. I think the visualization of the bending overall I actually really like, even if Aang like flying around is a little bit goofy before he gets the glider, but I thought the way they visualized the bending was actually very good. And Ali's gonna fight me on this. I have a friend named Abby who I was just like texting about this, so that's why it's gonna happen a lot.
Wow, I'm gonna change my name again.
Sorry. Ali's gonna fight me on this, but I actually the person I enjoyed most was Sokka's actor.
Wow.
Ian Ousley.
Yes.
So
he's very expressive
on it.
Yeah. So those are broad thoughts. I mean, there's little things that we can get into, but yeah, I mean, and I kind of went in with that sort of not huge expectations. So, I mean, it wasn't, like I was disappointed or anything.
Nice. Okay, random thought from what you said about Aang's glider. I watched this episode a second time to outline it. It just clicked to me. Does he not have the glider in the beginning until he gets it randomly from Zuko's ship?
Well, no, he took it from him. Like when he was,
right?
He had it earlier.
Yeah, okay, he does have it.
He just did not have it in that opening scene.
It's like not shown before he gets frozen in the iceberg.
Yeah, he just brought it with him.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty confusing. Tracking the glider, because I guess they could have changed that, but yeah, whatever. Okay, Jeff, what are your thoughts on the premiere?
I liked several parts of it, and then didn't like others. But
several is good. That's a lot.
Yes. The opening with the time skip back and showing the invasion of the Air Temple, I thought was very visceral and cool, and I actually was shouting, into the screen for the good guys. But
get him!
Yeah, exactly. So it's very, very cool. It seems that they have a distinct style as far as the visuals of the bending, which I appreciated. I do have a few nits on how it translated into the screen, which we can get into as the scenes go in. Costuming, I think we knew from the materials that they look kind of cosplay-y, and that they did look that way in the show. So yeah, minus there. I did enjoy Sokka along with you. I think he had 1.5 lines that made me laugh. So Iroh, if you remember in season 3 when his voice actor changed, I think so. There was the classic Iroh voice, and then the new voice was tried to emulate that, but wasn't quite the same. I think the voice and mannerisms of this actor are even more in that direction, away from classic Iroh. Remains to be seen how well I will like that characterization. I think there's some potential for interesting minor characters. I thought it was interesting that a few of the the crew members on Zuko's ship had more to say than they did in the show, the animated show. I wasn't as much a fan of Aang's voice actor though, or not voice actor, but voice. It kind of reminds me of Haley Joel Osment.
Are you dissing Sora right now?
Oh, did I?
That's what you're gonna. That's what you know him from.
That's my boy.
That checks out though, doesn't
Sora Kingdom Hearts. That's his name.
Well, I'm
Sora
sorry.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, we will see how it goes.
it? Nice. Okay, and Allie, thoughts on the premiere?
So, I just want to preface, I'm not the biggest fan of live action remakes as a rule. Not remakes, excuse me, adaptations, just as a rule. So, that being said, I went in with very low expectations. The premiere did surprise me pleasantly more than I expected to. A lot of like the opening with in the capital city, like Delaney was talking about, I really, really enjoyed that. I think there it showed, and it for me continues through the episode. The action scenes I think are shot very well, but it seemed like they had like a little too much slow motion shots, like too many repetitive. But bending looks really good.
They're like, we spend all our money on the special effects. You're gonna look at it.
I mean, I think the costumes also look pretty good, even though they like a mix of realism and the animation, which I think they did that very well. Costume design, set design. Really, personally, not a big fan of them showing the Southern Air Temple instead of telling it. I really thought that hit extremely well in the original series, and it feels kind of like a disservice to audiences who really like connected with it that way or felt strong emotions from it that way. That said, I think they did do a really good job. The action was very cool to see, even though it was a little bit dark.
I would like to counter only in that, as you know, and again, it's hard. Like, who's the audience for this show? But
that's the thing. They say it's the Game of Thrones audience, so that's like who they're trying to catch with this.
What I mean is like, are you trying to get new fans or old fans? Because for me, to kind of what Jeff was saying, you know, to watch it knowing what happens, like knowing that they're not going to win. Yeah. I think it is, you know, it's another take, and it is. I do think it is impactful in that way.
I agree. I also think that I don't know, it seems like it's kind of not like, you know, dissing fans of the original, or like the animated series, to be like, you're a baby if you like can't watch this, but that's kind of how it feels. But I think they did a good job. Mel, I'm not going to fight you on Sokka. I do think he's doing a good job. But Iroh and Zuko stole the show for me this entire episode. Dallas, and I forgot Iroh's actor's name. Paul? Is that his real name? I don't remember.
Paul Sun-hyun for Lee for
wonderful.
Iroh, Dallas Lee for Zuko.
I think he's fantastic. I was saying to my friend Mineo, I think that like the accent not being there is a little jarring, but I think he did a great job.
2024, and we're still getting Mineo shouts on the podcast.
He's watching it too, and he's enjoying it.
Literally, is it 2008 right now?
I think also with the tone they're going for, like Mel was saying, it felt a little all over the place. Well, not the tone, the pacing and the tone, because there were a lot of moments where I thought they were trying to be very funny and it wasn't that funny, and they were trying to be serious and I thought it was hilarious when it wasn't supposed to be. Overall, I don't think it's the strongest start, but for getting new people into it, I think it's captivating.
Nice. Yeah, mixed bag for me as well for the premiere. But I'm optimistic, I think, for the middle of this season. So
Did you only watch the first episode, Dylan?
Yes, I'm going to be watching along with the podcast.
Oh my God.
Here.
Wow, I'm proud of you. I could never do that.
Look, and I watched it twice, too, so...
I'm too chronically online, I'm sorry.
Accurate.
I'm about to block you. I love you, gonna block you.
It's okay. I understand.
Blocking her from the podcast.
But if I had blocked you, I would have missed you going back and retracting all of your statements. So that was worth it.
Listen, I will also say I went in as a hater. I'm
you.
coming out as not as much of a hater. So I think that says something about like how well it's
okay. That's optimistic there. I'm looking forward to like when they have less core story to cover, because for me this episode I thought started first 25 minutes really interesting because it wasn't the show. And then once we just started recreating the first 3 episodes of of the animated Avatar. It didn't work as well for me, and I thought that they were rushing a lot. And overall, I was a little bit underwhelmed, but it wasn't terrible or anything. Even when we got into the second half.
Can we agree that it's better than the movie?
Already better than the movie, sure.
Duh.
Already.
I'm just saying. Some people are saying it isn't.
Well, for me, it's they say their names right. I can't. It makes me shiver.
Yes, they do say the names right. Yeah. So I mean, so they changed. I feel like they changed. I mean, they didn't like change it. They showed different things that first half maybe, and I think it was hit or miss. But like, I would so much rather if the show were different and were hit or miss than if it's just kind of samey. So that's kind of where my head's at. I mean, we can talk about it. Personally, my favorite part of this episode by far. I loved seeing Gyatso and Aang and the normal day-to-day life Airbender stuff.
Yeah, their dynamic was very well done.
No, I was like, great, I'm going to cry.
Like, not necessarily the attack, which I thought there's some good and some bad, but the daily life of the Airbenders, which we do get in the show in flashbacks, but I like expanding upon it here and just kind of presenting it in the present tense. To me, that was like by far the most interesting thing that they did this episode. I loved seeing that. I kind of wish the whole show was going to be this. But
I thought it was interesting that they brought them all together for the Comet Festival. Like it was something that the whole world celebrated before the final.
Yeah, it's interesting. Probably most
exploited it. That I found darkly funny. And I was like, oh, what are they all getting together for? And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it is darkly ironic. Probably just the story decisions. They don't have to show attacks in different locations.
Who else is going to be here? Everyone. Oh,
that's kind of why I was like, it makes a little less sense for them to lose as badly as they did because they were all together, even if they were getting ambushed. But I guess the comet is that powerful.
Yeah, and if they want to emphasize that is a big theme of the season. Well, when we get to the finale.
And again, we buried the lead on the comet thing though, because it wasn't until the very end that Sozin was like, "Oh, without the comet, with the comet, you can't beat us." And it was like, "Oh, right, this whole deal was because
I will say they show the comet in the sky like the whole time for 25 minutes.
Yeah,
and
I like framing it like that. We start with the shot.
It's good framing, but if you don't know what's going to happen, you're kind of like, what?
Yeah, and that is one thing. To your point about who's watching this and new people picking it up for the first time. Like I was thinking to myself, like I would be confused.
Yeah.
In those first 10, 15 minutes or so, if I had no idea what, I knew all this stuff and I was like, okay, yeah. Like
I was confused the first few minutes with the
well, yeah, I didn't know who that
is this the guy we know? Is this just some random guy?
Yeah, I was like, who's this? And then I was like, he's an Earthbender.
These are all just random people until we see.
Can we name him?
Yeah, he can get a name.
Does he have a name already, though?
Burnt to a crisp guy. Yeah.
They're really about burning people up. It's a little.
I'm not a fan of the person.
I didn't realize until this, the whole comment thing. I didn't realize until this very conversation. Oh wait, they didn't explain that first because I was watching there's a comment and they're powerful, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I guess it only technically matters once we get to the battle.
To be fair, they don't name the comet until after Sozin murders everyone.
I guess it is not yet Sozin's
Well, I guess that's why
comment.
they called it Sozin's comet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To be fair.
Yeah,
it'd be real weird if they named it that before.
Murder comet.
Right.
Okay, more positives for me. I actually loved all the performances. We'll go through them. Not a lot of time for people to shine yet, but I think everyone was good generally. Personally, visually is by far the best part of the episode. I actually love the costumes and the set design and the bending was good. So visually, probably this is one of the most expensive TV shows ever made, I think. So, I think it comes through. So I was really enjoying it visually. Big negatives, I think at times it felt very melodramatic. Especially the opening scene for me.
Oh yeah, why is Kyoshi narrating?
Okay,
is that
okay? We're gonna talk about that.
They were who's Roku? I don't know him.
Yeah, Kyoshi's name. We'll get to that.
I mean, that's fair. Who's Roku? I don't know him.
Tone. This is gonna be a big thing. I do think they lost a lot of the heart of the animated show. Humor, romance, lightheartedness, definitely lessons. I think I'm open to them changing this. I just don't really get what they are getting out of it yet. So I think I'll see, but I don't really know what we're trading that for. Everything feels more muted than the original show, I think is a way to say it too.
We didn't go penguin sledding. What's wrong with them?
No penguin sledding, yeah.
There's no lightheartedness in the show. It's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and in general, everything, I feel like everything felt super rushed. Aang accepting his responsibility at the end, everything in the second half. It's just bang, bang, bang. We really yada yada through everything, or yip yip through. We get yip yip moment.
Wait, did we not get a yip yip in this episode?
I don't think so.
He said yip yip.
Well, we didn't get Sokka like in Qatar.
I think he says it like at the very end.
Yeah, so I don't know.
He's got his whistle.
Can that be the title of the podcast? Is yip yip?
I don't know if we're titling the podcast, but
oh come on.
Why would you call it yip yip? That's such a.
Why not?
Okay. It was okay. Yeah, I think it's as an episode of television. I thought it was fine. I don't know. Pilots are like
they're tricky.
They're fine, you know. And I don't think Avatar has like the most amazing first 2 episodes either. So, but
it's true.
But it was fine. I don't know. I'm optimistic about stuff to come, like next episode. So we can speculate on that as well, like, unless people have seen it. What do we think of? I think a lot of people are going to be talking about the tone. What do you guys think? Was this a more serious tone? Do we feel like this was adult oriented? Was it still for kids? I mean, we've been talking about this a lot already.
I can't tell. Yeah, it's kind of all over.
We're definitely
I feel like it's trying to toe the line. And
I can't tell if it's doing it well or not.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like I think and this is part of why I liked Ian Owsley. You know, he stood out to me is because I feel like he is doing the best with the mixture of the tone.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It definitely, obviously, he's still like a far cry from how the character was in animation, but I think what they want in the tone is kind of embodied in how he's portraying the character.
See, I think he did well with what the character had, but I thought Sokka and Iroh specifically really suffer from the lack of humor, you know, like, especially, I mean, maybe I'm comparing too much to the original show.
No, I was waiting. I was like, where's Iroh going to be hilarious? Like, the closest was he's like, what about some tea? Like, making tea a meme, but we're not quite there yet.
There's like jokes, but they're like, to me, they're supposed to come across muted, I guess, like less like laugh out loud funny, more like, pace shift, like change of paces, you know. I don't know what, like things like no penguin sledding, things like
it really was like they took the first 3 episodes of the animated series, they took out all of the fun bits, and they were like plot, which is fine, but it's not for me. There's not even a tone yet. It's just here are plot points of what happened. Like, here are your cliff notes for the first 3 episodes.
Delaney, here's something. Does Aang even have a crush on Katara yet?
I don't know, because that's what I was talking about. You were talking about.
I don't think so.
No.
You ask me, the answer is no.
Like, we're talking about the first, you know, as a pilot.
We remove the "you're smiling at me," right? Like,
right. You know, where he opens his eyes and he's just being a dope. But there really isn't. I think there's like the barest hint. They kind of look at each other.
Like, it's fun. So here's the thing: they can do this differently. They can have like them like gain a romance as like a romantic bond as they go along instead of starting out as a crush. That's like perfectly valid. It's just like what, you know. My thought is like, what are we doing instead? You know?
Yeah.
I would be fine if they got rid of it instead of doing the alternative.
There is no alternative.
I don't think you can't get rid of it. Oh, by the way, Mel, start preparing for me to go to you at the end for a segment. I forgot to say that earlier. I'll say vaguely. Start thinking
All right.
about it.
That's fine. I can work something.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff, what do you think of the tone? How is it working for you so far?
Yeah, I agree that, like, what even is it? There's a lot of plot that happened here, just, you know, things happening. And one thing I mean, where is there room for tone? It's when, like, we're not rushing around doing stuff, right? Like, when there's downtime to have little side conversations and the smileys and the whatever. So I am hoping that in the subsequent episodes there is more downtime when we're not so plot heavy.
Yeah.
Are we going to have it, though? I mean, we're taking a 20-episode season and it's 8 episodes. And we're even borrowing things from book 2.
Yeah, Azula will be in here at some point.
Said they're going to get rid of a lot of not filler, but lighthearted.
My thought is, like, as someone who's not seen past episode 1, it's like, I feel like the beginning of the show and the end of the season are set. It's like, I'm actually not very optimistic about how they're going to do the finale, just because I feel like they're going to do what they did here and they're going to just do the same thing. But you can change so much stuff in the middle of the show if you're not doing as much of, like, this episode per episode, more humorous travel show. I think there's, like, a lot of room to do things in different, interesting ways.
Yeah. Like what are we going to do to get to the to get to the North Pole.
Like, can't you just do anything? I know next episode we're going to Kyoshi. But I mean, they're definitely cutting, Great Divide, pirates, stuff like that.
You can't cut the Great Divide. Come on.
I bet there's some joke reference to it. I bet.
They just fly over it.
Yeah, well,
that would be very funny.
Like in the play. Yeah.
I do know a spoiler, but I'll be quiet.
Given how much they quoted from the original show, they're probably going to say, "Let's keep flying."
Yeah.
It'd be so funny.
I could see.
I will say that'd be really funny.
What do you guys think of so my take is I want to be really open to them changing things. I know a lot of fans aren't. But I feel like they didn't change. They really stuck with it so far.
Yes, I feel like it's very much.
Would you prefer? Do you want next episode, Kyoshi? Do you want to see the show and see the adaptation of it, or do you want to see them try to change things?
I would love to see them.
I will be quiet.
For me, it depends on what they change. For example, you can have the same things happen, but they happen differently. Versus,
which is what I assume will be.
Yeah, for me, there are the big things. You can't change Katang. That's as Mike and Brian said, that's
they already are changing it. There's no crush here.
Well, no. Well, for me, what I mean is
they're. Oh yeah. By the way, the best scene in the episode is when they hug at the end.
Obviously,
no. I knew you were gonna.
It's already
obvious.
Good clip.
By far the best scene. It's the screen. It's going to be the screen cap.
What I meant is that I'm fine with it's not in these 3 episodes, but if we get to the end of the show and they're and it's not at all, I will be upset. That's
what I'm expecting.
That's what would upset me.
They're doing it.
They have to.
I feel like they might give it. I mean, I don't know, because the age difference is very obvious at this point in time.
Yeah, well, interestingly, the actors I think are the exact when they filmed were probably the exact ages of the characters. It's just right. In live action, it translates differently. Aang looks so young in the show.
That's a child.
Yeah, and it's instead of it's a drawing of a child, it's literally he's such a child. I also, to be fair, I also think Katara looks younger than in the show. She does, as well.
She's very young.
Real life 14-year-olds are
children,
younger looking than you think they are.
And
her cadence matches the animated show, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job with what we've seen so far. Gyawandio, spelled with a K, pronounced like I just said, for her performance as Katara so far, but I don't think she got a ton of material.
Yeah, she's doing really well, but it seems like they're muting her character a lot so far.
I feel like everyone's muted to me.
Yeah. Except for Sokka, maybe his jokes are muted, but his attitude feels the same.
Yeah, I guess they're trying to go big.
It's kind of watching the animated show in black and white.
I really like Gordon Cormier as Aang. Actually, I really like him so far.
He's great.
I'm gonna put him in my pocket.
He's a good boy.
Anyway, Jeff, back. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Jeff. Yeah.
Back to you on the tone, if we had more thoughts on that. I feel like we got cut off.
No, I think, just we'll see what's next.
Yeah. Well,
I wasn't a huge fan of Gyawandio so far. And I don't think, I think it's mostly because of the way, what they're giving her to work with. But, I feel like that's, the most important character in the show to get right. And, that's a tall order for anybody, especially an actually 14-year-old actress. So, it's not really clicking for me yet. But I don't know. We'll see. But
I feel like my take on that is Katara is the heart of early Avatar.
Yes.
And I think this show, at least from the first episode, lacking in the heart. So I feel like, of course, Katara is going to be and it probably stems a lot from her,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But I guess the question is are they going for of course all the fans are going to be where's the humor, where's the heart? Are they going for that? Are they going for a more gritty show? They're
definitely going for a more gritty show. I feel like they made that obvious in interviews.
You gotta hope add the tally for the first we just have to have hope or not.
I think that nonsense. Katara, so I think she's spot on right there.
Oh, a big hope, a big one. By the way, in terms of, I feel like they're removing fun stuff. Zuko does not say honor in this episode.
They dropped
He was
it.
talking about the
There was
throne.
a
I was like,
perfect
shut up.
opportunity.
He
There was
says,
a perfect opportunity, and he said, "There's no glory."
he said they
I know.
specifically changed it to glory instead of
Yeah.
honor.
I was like,
They did that. They did that. That was like an attack on us.
I didn't even notice that, and now I'm upset about it.
Yeah, no, I fixated
How
on
dare
it.
you?
I
Right?
was
Like,
when's he gonna say it? Where is it?
I do think his attitude, his little whiny little
It's-
boy, it's perfect. He's getting it down perfect, but he should have said honor. You're right.
yeah, Dallas Liu and Slee, I think they're trying more than the other actors to mimic the voices of the
Yeah, that
characters.
too. Weirdly,
and
they
I
sound
think
like
and I think
Jack.
it's good. I think it
Okay.
for us at least it is a great entry point into the different performances because Dallas Liu really sounds like Dante.
He does. It's strange.
But I thought he did a great job. I guess campiness, is kind of another way of saying it. There's a lot less of that, maybe with Zuko.
But then when it does come in, it feels out of place because of the tone it seems they're trying to go for. So that's why it's confusing.
So we see Sokka scream on Appa.
That actually made me laugh. It was very funny.
That was really good.
Right? Like I feel like that moment is like less like supposed to be laugh out loud. I don't know. It's I don't think I laughed at any point in this episode.
It's like they took the first 3 episodes and they put it in a blender, and they're like, let's just pick some of it out. So it's just a little confusing. Like
The one place I know I laughed where I wasn't supposed to laugh was, okay, we know Kyoshi does a new intro, which I don't know if I'm a fan of, not just her narrating. Like visually, also it was strange.
Okay,
But then
Allie, here's the one
Grand
time I want you to spoil us. Is that the intro for the next episode?
There is none.
No,
what?
there's
Yeah.
no intro?
Yeah.
No. Or
Okay,
any
I'm
episode
more
goes
upset about
into
this than anything
Netflix
else.
Presents or whatever.
So
Or it
why
does,
does
like,
it? So
a
we don't
snippet
get an
at the
intro,
beginning of
but
the
we
episode.
have to have Gran reciting the intro
This
for
is
some
the
reason
thing.
to
I
us in
laughed
the first
so
episode.
hard
That
at
was-
her doing
that
that, and
was
it's
pretty
Okay,
bad.
for the record,
serious and dark, but it was just
I
funny.
don't think it was supposed to be funny, but it
No,
was
I will
very
say
stupid.
It was not
My
supposed to be
wife-
funny, and I laughed very hard.
oh no, my wife was started freaking out. She's like, she's doing the thing. Like, she was like, all in.
Like at the end where she's like, everyone in the tribe knows this story. It's like, okay, sure, why not? But like, really?
No, it was so good. Like Tanny was screaming. She's like, she's doing it.
They have to say it. It's so iconic at
I
this
do
point.
like
Katara
how...
has to say it. She's the
Yeah, I
heart
don't know.
of
I
the
will say
show.
Gran says it originally too.
Does she?
Oh,
think
it's
so.
Katara. Katara does it.
No,
in the
yeah,
beginning.
Katara does the intro.
There is like an extended intro in the premiere of the
She says, "My
animated show."
Gran used to tell me stories."
Yeah,
of the
she's
actors."
still doing it.
So I thought they were kind of doing a version of that with.
mean,
a
like,
This is the
extended
idea.
intro.
What we didn't know is that with the story she was being told, she was telling to us verbatim.
That's the thing. It's like it was
Yeah,
just very
I
silly.
did not enjoy that. I was like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing.
I don't understand why it's Avatar Kyoshi. I was like I don't get it.
Yeah, it feels funny that they skipped over Roku because clearly, who cares?
Like when she keeps talking and you see the other avatars, and I was like, is Roku even gonna be there? And then he
he
was, but I
comes
was
right
like,
after her.
I was like, is he
It's like,
coming?
oh,
No,
that
he's
was
not
very
allowed.
funny.
Yeah, it's because the intro is like Qatar is like, I believe Aang will save the
Yeah.
world, right? It's like again the Qatar being the heart of it. That's the type of thing you lose. And there's one scene where Qatar is talking to Sokka and it's like trying to say like my hope or so, but it's very much less impactful. I feel
Yeah.
like.
I agree.
Oh. I when I said I didn't like it, I thought we were talking about the when Gran was quoting it later.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
What
like
about
it.
Jeff? What about the actual intro, not the Gran intro?
Yeah, no, the actual intro. Like I enjoyed the visuals of it. I thought it introduced like the Avatar concept in an interesting way. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a little bit of a pivot. Here's my question: as you know, the self-proclaimed biggest Avatar fans out there, how much do we feel like the show should be how sacrosanct? How like much do we care about them deviating, or do we feel like they're ruining Avatar? Do we even care about this show? Is this nothing? Is this something? Like I feel like we need to answer
clearly
that
we
question.
care about
These
it
are big
because we're
questions.
here
I have a
and
lot
we're
of
talking
I have a
about
lot of thoughts about this, and I have some thoughts about specific changes.
Yes.
And one, I think changes like I think that's fine. Like I don't, I'm not super beholden to like any one specific, rendering of this stuff. And there's even stuff in the show where it's like, yeah, like, maybe if they had that back, they'd do it slightly differently. I think with that, certain things, you kind of have to justify those changes. But the two big things that that come out of this that I think people were really focused on is first the decision to have Aang, like, you know, rather than run away from the air temple in like a complete abandonment of his responsibility, he kind of just goes on like a head clearing walk at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And that's what he's supposed to carry guilt for, I assume, throughout the rest of the series. And, you know, that doesn't hit quite the way that the original does, because the original made a lot of sense, you know, like, you know, he very much, abandoned his post, as it were, and like literally, not as a direct result of it, but like literally what happened right after, you know, he did that is his entire culture got wiped out and a war broke out. So he's like carrying a lot of guilt for that. That all goes away because now it's just sort of like bad luck. Or good luck that he didn't get killed, I guess. But like, you know, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The second thing is Sokka's stuff, where they sort of take out his, you know, rants about, you know, women and sexism and that sort of thing. And initially, when I saw those headlines, I was like, well, that's stupid. However, like, I gave it some thought after watching, you know, this first episode. And I don't hate the decision, even though I don't think it was made in the best faith. And here's why. One, I think fantasy shows don't have to like feature our own bigotry and social constructs. I can speak. My tongue, you know, still a little numb. I bit it. I had a filling today, everyone who doesn't know about that.
Including the listeners in, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so social constructs, like, you know, it's not always productive to put those in fantasy pieces. And obviously, like, you know, it happens a lot. It becomes like a sort of analog for talking about real world issues. And I think there's a place to contextualize them that way, but it's not always necessary. And Sokka's particular brand of sexism is like, at this point, just feels dated. And it's not even dated in a way where it's like, oh, that's offensive and it didn't age well. It's dated in that, like, you know, the things we're dealing with now in that vein are very different than, you know, his sort of like boilerplate, like, you know, women belong in the kitchen, you know, vibe. So I understand kind of removing those pieces. The other thing is that I don't think every single story that features like prominent female characters needs to be about them like overcoming patriarchy and achieving acceptance in a world of men, the same way that like not every queer story needs to be a coming out story. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to constantly have women in these stories who are, you know, fighting gender politics. Like, it's okay that they just, in this particular world, which is a completely different world than our own, they just don't exist. And, you know, ultimately, if they replace that sort of maturation arc, you know, with, you know, the substance of it with something else, which I will say I figured out now because of forward watching a little bit, you know, what it is they're doing. And so that's all I'll say on that. But those were my thoughts about the two big changes in this episode.
I just put that together.
So in this first episode, no Sokka sexism to Katara. I think this is a discussion we'll be continuing throughout the podcast series, because next episode we're going to Kyoshi, and I think it is in the animated show. It's very prominent there. I've had, knowing nothing about the finale, I'm like, how would they even tell the Northern Water Tribe without sexism against Katara? Right.
That was my thought. How are they going to do that?
Yeah, my only thought when I started seeing headlines and stuff is just like, we need to remember Avatar's like started in 2005, and I feel like it's social views on everything. It's just very 2005. I feel like Avatar's very level 1 feminism, you know, like, yes. So I'm so open to the show doing different things. My question is, will it? So I guess we'll see. Will it do a different version of a feminist arc with characters? It doesn't need to be an arc. It can just be, but I guess we will see. For now, it just was not present in this episode with Sokka. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that, or should we table for next episodes?
Yes.
Okay. And you can jump in if anyone has any of that. How about back to the original question of like, how do we view this show? It can be about changing things. It can just be about, as fans of Avatar, how do we view this show? Jeff, like, do you care about this new show? Like, as a fan of Avatar?
Yeah, I do. I don't care that it toes the line. I enjoy when it goes and does its own thing. Like at a few points in here, like where Sokka goes and actually fights one-on-ones. Hey, let's have a one-on-one, right? Like little deviations are cool if they're done well, and I think a few of them were. So I see it as paying homage to a great story with and it's borrowing a lot of design motifs. But I'm totally okay for it to be its own thing but although given the understanding that it is probably going to constrain itself to the larger arc that was laid down before. So
nice. Delaney, how much do you care here? How much do you care about changes?
So I'm a little on the fence on how much I care. I would say overall, to me, this show is inconsequential in that, why did they make this?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we need a live adaptation
of anything?
Of anything, but specifically of a show that, and it really, really grinds my gears, how dirty they did Korra. And they're like, hey, let's do a live action Avatar. Like, all right.
Hey, come on.
In terms of Nickelodeon, like taking Korra off the air and putting it online.
Like killing Korra.
And this is Netflix.
And this is Netflix. And
in partnership with Nickelodeon.
And it started as a Mike and Brian venture.
It started as Mike and Brian. And that's the other thing. That is something I wonder is how different would this be if Mike and Brian were still a part of it?
By the way, they are credited on the script for this episode. Don't know how much of their original script made it, but they are in there.
And then, and as much as we like to pretend it doesn't exist, this franchise has a history with live action adaptations. So,
whatever could you be talking about?
I know. It's that movie that didn't happen. A movie I saw in theaters with my whole family.
Mel and I did a podcast review hours after the midnight premiere.
9 in the morning.
Yeah.
You remember when I called you crying?
Yeah, you left me a
about the movie.
Yeah.
She left me a crying voice.
No, my whole family went to see that, and we were like, wow. But so there is a lot riding on this show. I mean, honestly, it's brave that they're doing it, period, considering. Yeah. Again, that Onion article is so funny. But it's just, why are we doing this? For me, it doesn't really matter what they do. Like, I'm going to watch it. Hopefully, I will continue to enjoy it. And I am of the mind, I want to see what they do differently. I want to see how they present things. I am still, it's still hard too. Like, do things differently, but also, are some changes going to upset me? Am I going to be mad? I know Jet is in the show. He is not my favorite character. I hated him as a young child. I still hate him today.
Just because he got in the way of OTP.
Just because he got in the way of my OTP.
Yes, I agree.
Valid.
And I'm curious, what... So I'm going to watch it. I'm excited to see what's happening. I do think it's an interesting choice to do a live action adaptation of a show with so much to work with, to do 8 episodes. Mm-hmm. And I will say at this moment, to have the first 3 episodes boiled down into an hour was a disservice to the story told in those 3 episodes. Yep. So I am a little concerned, what are we going to do? I mean, you could spend the next 7 episodes, if you really wanted to, do the Battle of Winterfell version of the North Pole. So I'm not...
Game of Nations.
What's weird is they had an hour here, right? And which is not that much shorter than the first 3 episodes, which is about the same as the first 3 episodes of Avatar. Yeah. They just spent the first half on something different, and then they kind of boiled down the first 3 episodes.
Which is fine. The intro is very interesting. I thought that stuff like that really interesting. If you want to, if they even want to give me something completely new, completely world building, lore, whatever they want to do.
Dude, that's what I want. I really want that.
And I was also, Katang, one true pairing. But if they're we're gonna make people gay, I'll be like, yes, do it.
Okay, now that you bring this up,
can you say it, please?
So first of all, Katang.
No, that's not.
Not Katang. You're wrong.
You're welcome, listeners.
That was just mined from the depths of my Like
We're going to talk about
cortex.
Cat Aang. Don't worry.
Hard stare.
Okay. Delaney, if the show does not, like Avatar, no queer representation. If the show does not make someone gay, what is the point of the show?
Exactly. Like, what are we doing?
There's so
It won't
many
be worth
people,
it.
Especially
so many
if they're
options.
Or if they're like,
Zuko.
we're not going to do Qatar and
Ty
Aang.
Lee and
Make Zuko
Azula.
gay.
Oh
yeah.
Tylee and Azula
That'd be
should
really
act-
good.
I mean, that's
they actually
basically
should.
already like a thing to begin
Yeah.
with.
Right,
but-
yeah.
Yes. But like, honestly though, if you're going to change things about the show, and all it amounts to is, oh, we're going to show you the genocide, then what was the point of all this? You just wanted to make violent Avatar? Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, and let's-
as if it's not already violent. Come on.
Well, yeah, and while we're talking about this, let's bring up the fact that, and I in the trailer for this podcast, I said this is the number one reason to be excited about the show. The point of the show, probably, I mean, at least how they're presenting, is this is an Avatar show actually like created and starring Asian and Indigenous people, not like created predominantly by white people starring
Right.
like white actors. And so the show is entirely acted by Asian and Indigenous actors, with the potential exception, which I'll bring up now and probably will not talk again, of the Twitter controversy surrounding Ian Ousley as Sokka, who there are some. I'm a white person and cannot speak to this, so I'm just going to present what is out there as like there's some doubt as to his Indigenous heritage. I do not know to what capacity the veracity of that, but do think it should be noted. Otherwise, the showrunner Asian, all the directors of the show are Asian, many crew members are Asian Indigenous. So I think that should certainly be presented as like, what's the point of the show? Well, you know, it's being told in I don't know if it's being told in a more authentic way per se, but it's being told by the people whose stories
if you're going
it
to
is type of
change
thing.
like, I would say if there's more changes, in that case, I would say it's a more authentic.
I would
you're
Now,
gonna
especially
the question is, are they getting anything out of
I
that
think
if they do
the
the same
dynamic
show?
of Zuko and Iroh, and hopefully potentially the royal family as a whole, is way more authentic to East Asian culture than it is like Western. Like, I've heard so many Asian people say how Zuko's redemption and his just interaction with his family is very Westernized, and it seems like they're going for a less Western version of what like that dynamic would actually be like. So in that way, at least like with culture-wise, I think they're doing a good job
That's
so far. And
interesting.
again, I'm not again, but also I'm not Asian, so I can't speak to that on that level. But from what I've seen so far and what I've heard from my Asian friends who are watching, they're very impressed with that.
I think at the very least, I already from episode 1 am getting more out of seeing the actual like Asian and Indigenous actors on the
Yeah,
screen.
that too,
Mhm.
for sure.
So I think that's the main thing. I don't behind the camera in terms of how it presents in the storytelling. It's hard to say so far, and then, you know. So, but like the actors to me, basically all a home run so far.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the caveat of the material they're given, but
Mhm.
I'm enjoying basically everyone, and I think it's like a pretty marked contrast to the other live action venture.
Oh my god.
So
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you know, we were talking about the costuming. I mean, in the live action movie, it was like we're just gonna put a bunch of white people in costumes, and they're gonna pretend.
Very muted costumes as well. No color at all.
But in this,
Yeah,
it feels much more authentic. You know, and it doesn't.
they're making attempts to base it off of real
Yes.
specific regions of Asia or indigenous cultures that they're trying to correspond to nations in terms of costuming and set design. So like there's more of that, the attempts like that being put into it, more thoughtfulness. You know, so like at least, like I said, this might be literally one of the most expensive TV shows ever made. At least this money is going towards that type of thing.
Yes.
So yeah. Anyway, Ali, you know, any more on this you have, but also Ali, the question of like, how much do you care about the show and the changes?
Well, okay, so I don't want to care. I wish I didn't care. In the long term, like I, don't care as much because I still believe animation is the superior medium personally. And I wish we'd get animated.
Oh, and I also should note,
adaptations of live action things.
I didn't say this earlier. This show, live action, however, significant portion of visual effects are used here.
There's also
And-
that argument. So
And visual effects are animation. All the bending, Appa,
Probably
that's
all
all
of the
animated.
backgrounds,
It just
too.
a lot of CGI background stuff. This is all animated still.
You
It's
mean
just
they
a
didn't
different
shoot
form.
the Southern Air Temple on location?
no.
I do think some stuff is on location here, but a lot of it I think is on a giant Netflix soundstage.
I think they filmed most of it in Vancouver.
Yeah, it's all in Canada. Yeah, I think. Anyway, go ahead, Allie.
In terms of like, is this canon? And we were talking about this earlier. I'm still like, what does canon even mean here? But I care about it especially because of the reputation that it will either like not necessarily make or break for the original animated series, or like the impact it'll have on people who haven't seen or have seen, and like all that. But also, we've talked about this, I think, at the beginning of the podcast too, like, will this hopefully attract more attention to Avatar Studios and like give people a reason to support that content because they're really into the universe and they want to see more of it.
I feel like these are very separate. Like, I feel like this
I think they're separate, but it doesn't have to be if you get enough open-minded people like on the wagon.
At the very least, this is the beginning of the hype train to Avatar Studios.
Yeah, if you have not especially consumed the animated show from the early 2000s, I feel like it could be a gateway drug. It seems like it has a very big chance of being successful. Like, I could see this definitely by, what's today, Thursday? I feel like maybe by Sunday, Saturday, both shows could be at the top of Netflix, like Avatar, the animated series.
I will say periodically they are on their own. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I will say
that's the thing. This is gonna.
This show definitely will be in number one. It better be if Netflix is.
This could be like in the top 10 potentially.
But will it make the animated show more prominent? That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. Like, if not to attract new audience members, to get like people who are in it for the nostalgia factor to be like, I should rewatch. Because I mean, it's been a while since I've watched as well, but it's my favorite show of all time. Some of my favorite storytelling of all time.
If this show, like, if the live action fails, let's say,
yeah,
I don't think it would have any bearing on the reputation of the anime. Like, that's the other thing.
Necessarily.
I don't know. We're dealing with a series.
If the movie didn't, I don't think this will.
Like I don't like to me.
Do you think the movie didn't hurt overall, like the perception that people had, at least initially, of the show?
I think it hurt the corporate brand of Avatar.
Well, and that's the problem, though, that like the corporate brand is.
So I do think the show matters in that.
That's the only reason why I think the show matters when you boil it.
I agree with that.
It's boiled down to.
I will say, Avatar Studios is a division of Paramount. Paramount's fate is currently uncertain. They're shopping.
It doesn't look good.
To merge. I mean, they'll probably merge with someone, and so the fate of Avatar Studios is up in the air a little bit in that merger. And so I do think the fate of the brand is very important here in terms of how the show succeeds. Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
So, well, they did already lay off those animators anyway, so I'm not sure how much this matters either.
I'm not sure how.
That's the thing. How did they get how long has the show been in pre-production production? Because it's a lot of visual effects.
This show got announced like what
10 years ago?
2018,
almost 10 years
ago. The show has been we got that image of Appa and everyone was excited, right? This live action show.
Was that before the pandemic?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think at least 2 years before.
Yes, it's been a minute.
Okay, I want to wrap this up. Here's me hot taking. I do not give one crap about this show that we're podcasting on here.
You care enough to the point where we're podcasting about it.
And I feel free.
That's the only reason I'm watching it. If we weren't podcasting, I wouldn't watch it.
I'd be watching it, but I'd be hating on it.
I will not lose 1 minute of sleep if this show sucks, and that makes me in so much of a better position to like it or not. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I wish I thought that way.
I don't know if I act. That's what I want to feel. Do I actually feel that way? I think mostly
to a point. I think that's.
I'm way more excited that we're like doing this podcast series that this puts like Avatar back into popular culture in the build up to Avatar Studios. Like, I like the surrounding elements more than the show itself in terms of how much I care about it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited we've gathered here together to talk about it.
Yeah.
And because I don't care, I am open that this could be great. I didn't necessarily think that way about this first episode, but
I think I'm also
it was awful either.
Very traumatized by the movie. So
that's completely fair.
In that sense, I don't want to get hurt to that point again, but I think we're well past that being a reality.
Well, I will say that's part of the reason why I don't care is because it can't hurt me as much.
Yeah, it can't get worse.
It is true.
I said, to me, if this show is successful, I think it will be more impactful than if this show fails.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, it doesn't really matter. Like, if this show is great, awesome. That's great. That's good visibility. If it sucks, people are still going to watch Avatar Korra on Netflix.
Visibility regardless.
Yeah. Getting to wrap up this kind of changes conversation, and speaking of Avatar Studios, Southern Water Tribe town is called Wolf Cove.
So
Yeah.
oh my
I
God.
thought I was like, did I miss like what?
No, they just made it up.
Which
Well,
we believe is
you're
new
gonna-
to this show.
You're gonna get into like the part of the water tribe that Wolf Cove is in, right? Because that is referenced in the Kyoshi novels.
Oh my god, I knew.
It's
I knew.
canon.
So I
When
know
you
from
started
the
talking.
novels that the Northern Water Tribe gains a name.
That's what
Which-
it was.
Here's my big pet peeve. Out of all the things that bothered me this episode, we named the Southern Water Tribe town Wolf Cove,
Not,
but the
and
fa-
not the capital city.
but
Are
the
you-
capital city of Fire Nation
I
is just
also
called
took
Capital
issue with
City.
that. I also
Okay,
took issue with that.
It's called Kyoto. Come on.
Just give it a name. Just give it a random name too.
No,
Why?
it's
I was like, is this Republic City? Are we in the future?
We like
Yeah, that's a
naming
good
things
point.
city.
Is it like where the palace
Snow
is, or is it
City.
in the Earth Kingdom?
capital city.
Who-
It was
Like, I
the
mean,
Fire
occupied
Nation.
territory.
It was the Fire Nation.
we're not.
Yeah,
look,
but
Wait,
I'll
what?
start talking about that again when we get to the Aang movie, because that might be in play for the Aang movie. Anyway, and speaking of Wolf Cove, my guess with Wolf Cove is this was run by Avatar Studios, and the Avatar Studios now has a continuity department. Mike has talked about this on the official Avatar.
They're like, oh
podcast.
man, we have to care now.
That's like always
There's-
been my dream, by the way, to work in somebody's continuity department, like Star Wars.
They-
or-
that would
well,
make you so
I think
happy.
you'd be-
to see
I
I'm
mean,
very good
Mel,
at that
literally,
job.
like, why didn't they
No.
hire us for Avatar Studios to run this thing? Like,
Well,
You
that's
guys
the
are
thing
white.
is the guy who runs the Star Wars one like started as he was just a super fan of Star
yeah, and
Wars.
they do have fans in the Avatar.
But remember,
it should
they
have
want to
been us,
keep it. They hopefully want to keep Avatar Studios as well, mostly like directed Asian writing.
Yeah, it's
in the
we don't know to what extent.
in the
that's true.
continuity department. I'm not going to be coming up with anything. I'm just going to
Yeah.
be looking up
But-
the
but-
stuff you
No,
already
you
have.
should apply.
Yeah. Anyway, Mike referenced someone who's not him is people who are not him is tracking all this across all the various Avatar properties, the books, the comics. So I bet that they have all agreed this is Wolf Cove now, and that's just
That's
the name
upsetting.
They haven't decided on the name of the game.
of the Fire,
That
Fire
is-
Nation.
Oh my God.
Why
It's gonna
not
be
just
Kyoto.
say Why not just say Fire Nation Capital? Like
in
No,
later
because
edits,
it's
they will
capital
be.
city.
They'll
Yeah,
be
maybe they'll
putting it in.
retract it.
Like they took the Starbucks cup out.
Oh,
Yeah.
did they actually?
they should. We should.
Yes, they did.
It's the first. Wait, is that the first? It's the first Chiron we see, and it just says Capital City.
It's also the only one I think we've seen.
No, we
No, we
get
see
the
Wolf
others. We
Cove.
just don't. We get Wolf Cove. We get
Oh,
Southern
I did
Air
not
Temple.
even see that popped
I know,
up.
it's
I
just-
just heard
That's
somebody
why I was
say it.
expecting when we saw that. I was like, "Where's the 100 years caveat?" Also, like,
Oh, it's because Sokka's like Wolf Cove, and everyone's like, "What?" Are you
oh,
talking
that's right.
Yeah, well, Wolf Cove comes out. It's like we start with Katara waterbending, then she goes outside, then we pan to all the
Wolf
city, and then it
Cove.
says Wolf Cove.
Yeah, I must have like blinked or something.
Oh, when
I mean,
it
it's
popped
fine.
up, I started like yelling, and Tanny's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No."
Wolf Cove. Look, if this is based on real indigenous tradition and names and stuff,
True.
then that's great. So I don't know. I like if Avatar Studios is consulted here, fine, that's the name. If not, obviously would make.
Okay,
fun
the
of it,
thing is,
but
like the Northern Water Tribe, which obviously hasn't been name dropped in this
in the show
show,
yet, yeah.
as we know in the books, it has like an indigenous at least style.
It has, yeah, right. It's not like English Wolf Cove. It has like a
Yeah.
indigenous.
I'm
words,
gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna push a little back and been like, we could have tried a little harder.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, fair. I think to many people this.
I
was
didn't
like
see a single wolf.
I think it's.
And I'm like,
They
is
like
this just
wear
because
wolf
he has
skins.
the
It's
wolf
also-
hat?
I do think they're also trying to remember that like it might be a mostly Western audience. I mean, it is because it's Netflix, a Western
Yeah, I mean,
audience that's
that might
watching
have been
this.
the motivation. Also, okay, obviously,
wolf
wolf,
I just need y'all to know.
wolf,
Oh,
and
yeah,
what hybrid?
Yeah,
It's
wolf
a
seal.
What? It's just
Oh,
a
that's
wolf.
right.
Wolf bat,
Just-
wolf bat.
Wolf Bat Cove. Why is it wolf? Why just wolf? We're bringing another just a wolf.
You mean
Just a
platypus
bear?
wolf?
Yeah, exactly.
For the record, we saw Chicken Hawk. I was very happy we saw
Did
Chicken.
we? Because they name dropped a lot of animals and then didn't
They
show them.
named-
To
and
me.
then they didn't show them. I think we
Oh,
got
but they were
ostrich,
showing-
ostrich horches.
We got the
in
Oh,
first
yes, we
series.
did get those.
It,
We got
it
the
was very
chicken-
dark though, and
I got them
What did you
confused
call them,
with Chicken
Delaney?
Hawk. A Chicken Hawk. I don't want to talk about it.
Chicken Hawk.
Shut up!
cat.
I'm
Aang,
surprised
telling you.
the Sokka didn't name his little soldiers wolves.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah,
that would have been
I guess so.
cute.
It's like the type of thing they like make them like more serious and like a little bit older. Like Sokka's lieutenant is like not a super.
I'm
And he's
sorry,
also-
they started throwing rocks. That was the best.
Sokka's also a good leader right away,
Yeah,
which
that's
I'm not complaining about, but it was unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if we can evaluate his leadership.
That's so hard.
I mean,
the
it's
show takes
hard.
him more. The show takes him
Listen,
more seriously.
If you've
right
ever
away,
tried to
know?
direct children, it's like herding cats, and he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and you lose the like animated movie like background kids making jokes type of thing that that Avatar had in the first episode with the other kids in the Southern Water Tribe, and instead they're just serious.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but you know,
Is it?
okay. Well, other stuff they changed. Did we not mention the Comet Festival? We talked about that. I think something like that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's cool that they brought them all together, like
yeah, just
community.
Bad timing.
Yeah. Whoops.
we see. Oh, anything else on the opening scene? We see Sozin. I think
I
ultimately
thought it was
this
weird
Chris?
that he was on the battlefield, but I guess that was the
Sozin
kind of
like leads the invasion.
Yeah. that he was. Oh, I'm sorry.
I like how he talked about one word and then you dropped that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me before the podcast. No F bombs.
He was that kind of guy.
I was surprised they made him like so powerfully, like could burn someone to a crisp just by.
Also, they just Iron
Well,
Man.
I think it was like the comet. Because the comet.
Well,
was
that's
already-
also
So can he normally just burn a guy to
definitely
a crisp?
not, because he was even like on another. Oh my god, on another
Well,
night you
wait
might
a
have
minute.
won.
Now wait a minute.
Not when we have the comet.
Now
Yes,
wait
no?
a minute, Allie.
That was.
What?
Sure.
What?
He might be able. All I'm going to say is he might be able to do it whenever he wants. Actually.
Okay, Mel speaking from the future. Okay.
Are we talking about like this is kind of like a bloodbending Korra?
No, you've.
Okay, we'll get there.
You know.
We'll get there. Okay.
you know.
Do I?
I feel like that's the hallmark of this show's new grittiness is like Sozin's just gonna burn a guy right away. You
I
know?
mean,
like-
if you were in Korra, we straight up just like
I would
deprived.
have really,
Korra.
really appreciated, and I think this was necessary because Netflix does this all the time. Put a trigger warning in the first episode, like
Oh yeah, like
For people
burned
burning,
to death.
yeah.
I was not prepared for just, like,
massacre,
sharp corpses
for a
and all,
genocide, and also people burning alive.
So
like,
let's talk
literally-
more
it's
about
literally the
showing.
The
It's
warning of
arson.
violence
They're
is
showing
fear.
arson.
Let's talk more about showing the genocide. You know, like the attack.
One thing I love the visuals. I think they did an interesting job with it. They showed like big fireballs coming in, but I did miss like, okay, wait, where are those fireballs coming from? They don't show that.
Also, they
Yeah.
like they teleported in with firebending.
Well, they were doing their little
They did
fire
Iron Man.
jets.
They do
Yeah.
the jet thing, which I feel like in the show is introduced later. I think, and I feel like they show them climbing the.
They probably did. I probably
They
wasn't
have
looking.
all in the show. They have like their tanks that they
that's right.
like just climb it.
Oh yeah, are we gonna get the lizards? We didn't see those, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
the
the
Komodo
Battle
dragons.
lizards? Yeah,
Giant
yeah,
lizards.
yeah. We'll see.
I like how you said
when it
Komodo
gets in there.
dragon, which is a real animal.
That's what they are.
They're just really big in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They made them a hybrid animal in this version.
yeah. So in terms of seeing it happen, so my cynical side is like, is this just to show an action scene to get the right? Like, I feel like the opening scene is for the most part just to get an action scene in right away with the Sozin thing.
It is.
Is showing the Fire Nation attack on the Airbenders just to like have action in the opening episode? Are they doing it for deeper thematic reasons or something?
I feel like it loses. So let's say you've never seen Avatar before. You don't know anything. You sit down and you watch this. Like, you
That's a
kind
thing.
of get the vibe that they're just, they're having a party and it's messed up that they're attacking them and that it was like all a trick to fight them. But like, there's just that lack of like, these are a peaceful people.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like super messed up that they did this. And I feel like they just like,
That's true. We
It's
see
that-
them fighing back, which like of course they're going to, but
yeah.
you don't get the devastating impact of just like, oh, and they just killed all of them. Here's the skeleton. Like it's presented more as this is a battle, like
Yeah.
between two
Yeah.
warring nations.
I like that
And
it felt more like a shock factor in the animated series, and this it feels more gritty, like violent. For
Yeah, and
the
that
sake
being
of
said,
being
they-
That
violent.
scene in book 3 where Aang's like, the air nomads didn't have an army.
But
Oh
it's
yeah,
just,
yeah.
it's like the sake of like for being violent for the sake
Did
of being
they say
violent.
they
it
don't
doesn't serve
fight
a
back,
purpose.
or did I make that up? I don't
The
remember.
Air Nomads didn't have a former military.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they try to
They
say
tried
that
to
he
say
was.
in the headbands. Yeah.
Yes.
But it
Yeah,
wasn't
because they're
a
like,
battle.
what year did Firelord Sozin battle the Air Nation army? But it wasn't a battle. It was an ambush.
Right, and it kind of was a battle here.
Yeah, they were
Um,
ambushed. To be fair, they didn't know what was going to
yes.
happen. But
Yeah, by the way, shout out the one woman who we see fighting and taking a bunch of people
Super
out.
dope.
Queen,
I'm
Queen,
sorry.
she
Her
slayed.
tornado, so good.
She makes a
slayed.
tornado, and then Sozin's just like, here's a little bit of fire into your tornado.
That's
Now,
Like
now
it
you're
was a
dead.
little fireball. What are you?
Now you're dead.
doing?
Messed up.
It's related to this. I think, okay, we're doing another version of Avatar. We're expanding, maybe doing things. I feel like there's a missed opportunity here to expound upon the motivations of the Fire Nation's attack and genocide of the Airbenders.
They literally, like, we even have this moment where Aang is talking to Iroh, and Iroh's just like,
Oh yeah.
and I was like,
Which I overall I like that scene.
Yeah.
It's like you
they
get
have
the
good
sense of
dynamic.
Iroh not agreeing with all of
it's
them.
great, but it was like I was like, give it to me.
Iroh's like, here's the formal line of
Here's
what
the
it
company
is.
line.
Yeah, the company line. The one line that we got from Sozin, he says, because it's our time in the beginning. But other than that, it's mostly just that, okay, we just have to kill all of them.
Are we
'cause
going to explain-
we don't know who the Avatar is.
The issue I
Um,
have with 8 episodes. Obviously, we're only in book 1. But like, are we going to explore how Roku and Sozin are like biffles?
Are gay.
They kiss.
Yeah,
They definitely-
that's the
Season 3.
couple.
It will all be worth it if they make Roku and Sozin kiss.
You know what?
Yeah, except we saw how terrible Sozin is here, so it's off to a bad start. But we know he gets.
It's
to that
because
way
he felt betrayed by his
Yeah,
homosexual
exactly.
lover.
Yeah, which is not the greatest motivation.
You
But
just really need to
I'm
specify
okay
it
with
for us.
so yeah, you need to.
Oh,
specify.
okay, bisexual. I'm sorry. He had a wife.
Okay, but anyway, so my point being
He had
that
kids, remember?
in the could have been a beard situation. I'm not in the original show. It's not like we get into so much any other reasons for genocide. But I feel like if you compare this to real world situations, like there's always like this visceral hatred of another people. There's always this feeling of superiority, this dehumanization of other types of people. I want to see more of that. You know, like
why are you doing this?
Yeah.
like they're not just going to kill everyone just to get the Avatar. Like they must think these are like subhumans, like and
Airbenders, particularly.
Airbenders, and I think
Also,
that's the
you
type of
wanted
thing that
to
maybe
have
the
fun.
animated show lacks a little bit. Except we also get into like the type of propaganda, as we said, with like the headband, as we referenced. So there is some of that, but that's the type of thing you can go deeper on if you're making this gritty live action.
Yeah.
and I think we didn't. So I'm
Yeah.
like, so why make it gritty live
a
action
really
if we're
good
not
point.
getting more into that?
Yeah. Now, I mean, now that you meant, like, they even had the opportunity to be like, I mean, it would be hard to express, but he could be like, maybe he has the notion that like, oh, the Airbenders always come together for the comet. We can't even get like all the Fire Nation together for for the comet, and that's like where we
Like,
get our
is this
power.
about land? Like, why are you doing this?
Or it's about power. I mean, Landy's power is everything.
He's presenting it as it's our time, our time. Our
Yeah, I
power
think
time.
I think they just didn't think about it. And to be fair, the original show didn't,
Yeah, we didn't get
dive-
there until season 3, really.
Yeah, so like I truly think it was just it's a lazy like, oh yeah, like if you tell an audience they want to do they want to do imperialistic stuff, then that's enough.
Yeah.
Like they didn't think to put more into it. But yeah, I mean, like it would be if you're gonna show the actual, take the time to show like the thought that went into it and the subterfuge and all that other stuff, and then show the actual attack. Like you might as well,
Come up with a
put a
reason.
little more in there about like, like wow, okay, so you like think like you're going for like Fire Nation superiority, master
like-
race situation.
Yeah. Like,
But yeah.
That was
you're doing a new version of the kid show. As much as Avatar is also like we appreciate it as adults and everything, like ultimately created with the child audience. What's the purpose of doing a new version? A purpose could be getting and expounding upon adult themes like this in a more profound way. That would be worth it to me.
I agree.
So far, I've not really seen that.
We even have more chances when why did they kill all the waterbenders?
Yeah. They didn't even
Like,
really
why?
expound on
We
that.
only just see a reference to Qatar saying they just try to kill all the benders. Yeah.
Maybe. Well, granted, we haven't talked about her mom yet, and we clearly have to do that. So,
And we flash back to her, so we'll get into it. Yeah.
Like, is
But,
that
like-
also necessary? Seeing her burn alive?
We got to see.
That's
The show is.
fair
If this show will do anything I've learned from episode 1, we're gonna see people burn.
Burn
We're
people
just gonna
to
see
a
everyone
crisp.
burn.
but maybe we'll get a little bit more like, okay, why are you killing all the waterbenders? Like,
Are they trying that with the Earthbenders, or are they too big of a
Yes.
nation to even try? Because at least with Water Tribe, it's north and south. You can split them up.
Yeah. To what extent are they restricting earthbending activity? The show does get into that a,
Well, it's
a
like
little bit.
remember Haru's little village.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
They
assuming
don't
we're
kill the
we're cutting
Earthbenders,
Haru
though.
out
They
of this
put
show.
them in like a concentration camp.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
put him in a work camp.
Yeah, so we'll see if that's the type of episode. Will
In the-
imprisoned be in this show? I doubt it.
Wait, in the series though, when we do, the animated series, when we get to the Avatar and the Fire Lord, like the most Sozin even like goes to say is like they want to expand the empire, not that they want to like. I mean, it basically is saying they want to be the superior nation and like have imperial rule over everything, and we could get that if we get Roku flashbacks.
Yeah, I think there's opportunity to do more of this.
I think they should
Anyway.
expand on it.
But random other things. Southern Air Temple, we see the council of
I
Love
wanted
whatever.
them to do, I wanted to see Aang shake his like little rattle and be like, "Oh my God, it's the Avatar!" Yeah, they were just like,
oh, you wanted to see the selection scene.
yeah, they
Yeah,
were like, we just decided. They were like, "You're the Avatar." Like,
Shake
it's
his
just
little rattle.
known. Yeah, we don't know how they knew.
It's because
Um,
he is very powerful.
he's so strong.
You would think that maybe we'll flash back to that, but you would think that's the type of authentic detail that actually is included in.
But that's the thing,
because
they-
that's based off of
Wait,
the
was that this
Dalai Lama
episode?
selection process.
Was it?
They do not show anything about younger Aang. It is just known. They all know that Aang.
Wait
is
a
the
minute.
Avatar. Aang
No,
does not
wasn't it
know.
like he needed to train to control his powers?
What?
They said Aang's like, I'm gonna go master all the elements and restore balance. He says that at the end.
And they told,
This
and that's why he had to go on his little walk. They were like,
Yeah.
"You need to go. We're going to send you away immediately to learn the other elements."
Yeah, I love seeing the council. I want to know who the head guy was who made the decision.
Yes.
What's
Yeah.
his deal?
Gyatso, you have
Ah.
feelings. How dare you?
Also, yeah, why is Gyatso not considered like? I mean, in the animated series, it was like seemingly a council of elders, and all these guys seemed relatively young, which is an interesting
Some
choice.
of them were younger. Yeah,
The guy who made the decision was way younger than
he
Gyatso.
seemed more.
They're all
middle-aged, yeah.
bald. It's hard to tell.
They're all.
And then the
cool.
one woman, I believe the same woman who we see
Yeah,
fighting
she
later
was
is
we had,
there.
I'm so glad we had.
Yeah, she was
and I was
giving.
like, yes.
But in general, I loved Gyatso, the portrayal.
Yeah,
of
he was
Gyatso
great.
here.
I was like, great. I'm gonna cry. My wife, full disclosure, cried
At Gyatso and Aang.
Very good.
When he-
Or
dynamic
when he
between
was dead, the
when
skeleton.
he died.
Yeah.
When he found him, she was like, "No."
I think all the heart I'm talking about lacking with like Katara and everything, I think it was there with Gyatso and Aang.
I
in that scene
agree.
in the beginning.
I did
Um,
flashbacks were a bit much to the scene we saw 45 minutes earlier, but
Gyatso says, Aang, you are the Avatar. The Avatar.
It's better than Avatar.
it's true.
I think it's just that guy's accent, but like I did get the M. Night vibes. Avatar.
No.
I also got that when like Kyoshi was doing the intro. The intro was just so weird, and then like she has to say Avatar like 7 times.
Avatar.
She did say Avatar a lot in that. I
was like,
did clock that word came
Yeah, I
up
was
like
like,
15
hey.
times.
We're gonna have to go back, watch this episode, and count how many times they say Avatar, and make a drinking game into it.
Oh, and die like halfway through.
Mhm. Okay, half
Yeah.
shots. Sip a beer.
All right.
I don't drink. I don't know how
So-
people play drinking
I don't
games.
drink either.
I don't know how people play.
Wow, the lamest people to have a drinking game. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, speaking of that, do we agree with what I said before? They removed Aang's crush on Katara, seemingly at least from this
I
first
think
episode.
so,
Yes.
personally.
He didn't open
He's-
his eyes and immediately go, "Wow." So
Because this is the thing. They're removing a lot of his whimsy, and like they're really hammering home his responsibility, even though he's like seemingly less reluctant and just more like scared and bummed about the reality of the situation. But he's got a lot on his mind. I don't think he's thinking about girls.
I mean, to be fair, he literally just woke up.
And he also has been raised as a monk, seemingly very serious about that lifestyle.
Yeah, there's a
They have kids though, obviously, and stuff.
People who, it depends
Yeah,
on
not
like
that they really
But,
got into that.
as
if
far
you
as
dedicate
the-
yourself to like bending, maybe it doesn't seem
Well,
like that.
as
Like
I
if you're an
understand-
acolyte,
they-
All the
have been
air
taken
nomads
from your
are
parents.
benders.
are they?
Yeah, that was like a thing that every single person in the O Nation is.
Yeah, why are you explaining this to Allie?
This is why I should be in the continuity department.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I
I
thought
remember the dialogue,
as I
not the
understood
lore.
was they take you from your parents and that you're a monk.
We get like references because he said Gyatso says I'm your friend, and clearly Gyatso is his father figure, right? So, but it's like clearly not presented as a parental relationship. So I think that's kind of a reference to that. He's like, I'm always going to be your friend, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like we could have gotten into that more.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, we're back to shipping. This is the Cat Aang segment. So we get the hug at the end. I think I'm just saying, honestly, I say Katang at this point if I'm being real, but I think the masses want me to say Cat Aang.
I
think
hate
people are cheering when
They
I say
don't.
it.
They really don't.
No one
I
is
think-
cheering. It's just you.
Someone on our Discord posted a meme of Cat Aang, so it's a thing. Like,
It's not.
it's
Stop
really-
trying to make it happen. It's 20 years.
it happened 20 years ago. What do you mean it?
It's over.
That is over. That is
Let
true.
it die.
I won't. We won't. Well, this podcast, we're not letting it die because we're bringing it back. Okay, in general, we get the hug at the end, which I've seen the image of, and it's more of like Katara's holding him, comforting him, extended embrace. It's not like romantic, but
It's
you're
a
starting to
sad
see
hug.
their connection form, their
They're
bond.
trauma bonding.
Yeah, great. Good stuff. Love it.
We love that for them.
Love trauma bonding.
Both of their one of their parental figures was burned to a crisp.
I'm sorry, but him being like, I lost everything, and she's like, yeah, my mom died. That sucks.
Okay, I really did not. I was not a fan of her being like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Actually, that was not the vibe. Like I understood what they were trying to go for.
To be fair,
I do think a lot of the dialogue was felt stinted in this
It
episode.
didn't. I mean, obviously, it wasn't phrased that way, but it was just like not the move that they thought.
Not the move,
was, I
bro.
don't think.
Here's the Cat Aang prediction. It's not like they get together in the first season of the show. They'll hug at the end, at the finale. Again, there's a big hug in the season 1 finale.
And a crush on Aang's side is definitely established in season 1 of the animated
Right.
series.
So will we get a crush established? That's a good question. However, I do think the show will do them if it gets more seasons, especially since it'll be several years in the future. I don't think they've filmed season 2 yet.
See live action Day of Black Sun. I want the full Battle of Winter.
We need that kiss. Yeah.
Come on.
Give it to me.
What about Nightmares and Daydreams?
You would think that's the type of episode we cut out, but
Also, they have to do Ember Island players, right?
And also the headband.
okay.
If they don't
we're
do
ta-
headband, I will like.
We're talking season 3 here. Most Netflix shows get canceled after season 1, so let's just cross our fingers.
True.
Are you breathing? I don't know what that sound was.
I'm
Okay.
okay. What the heck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeff or Mel, any thoughts on where Katara and Aang are going?
I think Ember Island players is going to need to use Ovitar.
Yeah.
We should have Ember Island Players the movie. Yes.
They have to
Oh,
reference
That's such a good
that.
idea, honestly. Okay.
Well,
I like it. Mel, Katara and Aang, or should we proceed to the next option?
Oh my god. Is this really happening?
Okay, it's time.
No.
Wait, go ahead first.
No, I think they're probably just gonna let it lie, maybe for the first season. Honestly, I feel like the backup plan is you get to the very end and it's sort of like, here's where they are now situation. Just because,
oh, like an epilogue.
yeah, because the age difference is noticeable. They might be doing time skips, who knows, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So Gordon Cormier, he's like 12 when they filmed the show end of 2021 into 2022. He's 14 now. So they film the next season. He's at least 14.
He's gonna be
It starts to get more realistic, right? If you're doing romance with him, and with Gao and Dio, right? So it's how old is she? She's 17 now, right? So it's a lot. You time skip any sort of problems of them seeming super young this season, I feel like pretty easily rectified, and definitely by season 3. Season season 3, they're like 21, and
They're gonna be
Oh
like,
my God.
they're just gonna be JK. It's Korra now.
Wow. Yeah, just
we
straight.
love that.
We don't get to see Aang battle Ozai or anything. It's just straight to Korra book 2.
Yes.
Okay, but it's time for
Is it?
Hidden Zutara.
Okay.
It is the
Never
Hidden
lived through
Zutara
it.
segment.
Scared.
I really didn't think this would happen.
Back
You
in
know,
the day,
I had
the
a
most-
feeling it would, and I should have done more to prepare. But
Look, for background, I think this is the most famous segment in Famous Sport World history.
God.
It is because I thought it was serious when I used to listen as a fan.
But back in the day when Avatar was airing, Mel poked fun at canon Zutara shippers, which I should note, fan and Zutara shipping, valid, wonderful. I mean, not my thing, but and even canon Zutara shippers, like, fine. But we poked fun at people who very seriously thought it would actually happen in the show, and Mel presented evidence from the episode where Zutara would be happening. Now, in this episode, I do not believe Katara and Zuko interact whatsoever.
no, they don't.
Therefore, this is a perfect episode
They don't
for Hidden
even
Zutara.
know each other exist. They don't even make eye contact.
She's like peeking around.
Yeah.
Barrier.
He may have seen her in the background.
And you know what? It stuck with him.
Well, you're like, that means it's the perfect episode to do this with.
Yeah.
So exactly before and look, will they even meet before the finale? Because I don't think we're doing the Pirates episode. So
was kinda
before
that was a big one.
before they battle,
It's a
like, I
watershed
don't think there's
moment
anything.
for.
It is that birthed much
Oh my
shipping.
God.
news. So Mel,
Yeah.
please tell us the Hidden Zutara. from
Yes,
this
Mel,
first
please.
I'm
episode.
trying to remember my cadence of how I used to do this. So, you know, when we first meet Katara, after the genocide, we cut away. She's, you know, practicing her bending in secret in her favorite place in the whole entire world, the hull of a Fire Nation ship.
Oh, yeah.
They also
That's
don't mention
true.
that's like forbidden and you can't be in there.
It's the spooky ship. You can't be in there because it's Katara's secret place.
Forbidden love.
You know, so when when she sees the actual real live ship starting to show up later, when Zuko arrives, you know, her gasp is not of worry or fear, but of excitement that the dream that she's had for so long is finally coming to fruition, and
See a real life ship.
this is the real life Fire Nation
Fire
ship.
Nation ship.
And whoever's in charge of that ship, when they get off the ship, is the one. That's what she had in the dreams.
She's aiming for the top.
So
What drugs was she taking to have these dreams?
the spice melange. So you know, we'll see how it progresses. We're rooting for her. We want her to have, you know, nice things and the things that she wants in life. And we look forward to more possibilities of this.
She really likes her men bald.
This dream coming true.
Oh my god.
Okay, this is
Yes. I cannot match Mel, but I also found a bit of Hidden Zutara.
okay.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Continue.
At the very end, when Appa and the gang are flying away from Zuko's ship and Zuko's firing fireballs out of them, Katara pulled off what I thought was an extremely overpowered move for her
Yeah.
skill level, which was waterbending from the ocean 1,000 feet below.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
That's true.
And the only reason she could do that was because, like, Zuko's fireballs brought that out in her.
wow.
Yeah, they did say bend from emotion or
Oh my god.
Aang's terrible advice.
That is true. They do kind of interact in that capacity.
Yeah. In the future, this will be a bonding moment. Like, that was you. That was you. That was so much good.
Oh, that's their meet cute.
Oh, and Zuko was breathing real heavily after that. Just want
Oh, Dallas
That
Liu
romantic
plays the
tension.
brother on Pen 1-5.
Oh my god. It's so
I was like, where do I know him from?
out of nowhere.
It's a great show.
There we go. Thank you so much, Mel. Thank you, Jeff, as well. This is the beginnings of a wonderful alternate telling of the show, or potentially look. And obviously, the real hidden Zutara is this is a new show. They could do something different here. They could do Zutara.
I will immediately. I will be gone.
If
forever.
you put that out into the ether, as if people aren't already making fan cam edits.
Here's something I thought about with that. And the possibility of like changing kind of core things in the show, and like it's Netflix's own thing, they're doing their own thing, but it is kind of like from a PR standpoint heavily tied to Avatar Studios, and I don't wonder if there's like a sort of like list of like things that you can't change,
Forbidden.
Just because a lot of IP has that in different adaptation contracts. It's like, yeah, you can do what you want except for X amount of things. So
Forbidden Zutara.
I'd be truly. So I'd be curious if there's some things on there that it's like you absolutely have to either do this or you can't contradict it if you don't do it. So
yeah, that's a great point. I do wonder if Avatar Studios got passes on the scripts, that type of thing. What I'm saying is true about Wolf Cove and it being part of the continuity, there must have been some communication if that is true. So there must be. It's possible there's something like that for sure.
Because it is a Netflix series in partnership with Nickelodeon or Paramount or whoever.
Yes. And obviously it's Nickelodeon's property.
Yeah.
Important isn't really because like we're never coming back here
What do you mean?
to Wolf Cove.
Oh.
What?
I mean, true, I guess. Yeah.
Like, why did we have to name it?
Oh, we will when they do the Korra.
Yes.
When we get the Korra
city.
live action show.
Yeah, when we get the Korra live.
They're gonna
Yeah.
have
By
to name
the way,
Polar Bear Dog Cove.
yeah, could it? Why not? Korra renames it. That'd be good.
I like it.
My dad's the chief now. We're renaming.
Yeah. But by the way, Korra would have been much better live action show.
I don't know if that's.
I want live action pro bending so bad.
Just make a pro bending miniseries.
Please don't do that.
I had this thought when we started podcasting, but it wasn't the right moment. But now it is. I want we should have the Great British Bake Off, but it's like the Air Nomads.
Oh my god. With like the pies.
Yeah, because we got a lot of that in the animated show. Yeah.
We got a lot of it. Yeah,
the pies. There weren't that many flashbacks.
And then Aang was like, in this show, he was like, I like banana cakes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, by the way, Aang had to announce, I'm just a goofy kid. Yeah, okay.
He was talking I appreciate that he was talking to Appa like
do you know a single freaking kid who ever
talks to their pet that way?
No, whoever in their life has said, I'm just a goofy kid.
No.
Also, he had to tell me because I didn't see him do anything goofy.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of did have to tell us because there's not a lot of goof going on here.
Like to goof
I play airball. You could have we could have seen that.
Kid.
Yeah.
He smiled a lot and he glid down.
I do think
he does have that
Cormier
Aang smile.
Imbued, the Aang energy, the smile. Even if this show itself's tone wasn't really giving, I thought he gave enough of that to shine through to some extent. And that's the type of thing I'm talking about. It's really hard to know who's acting well, like when based on the material. So it's almost like relative to what we're getting from the
always.
Lines. Yeah. So I honestly thought Gordon's performance, even if he's like 12 or something, was giving a lot as Aang that the script was not necessarily giving. Yeah. Any other performances we haven't talked as much about?
Gran.
Just staring.
Literally non-character.
She gets to say the intro.
I was underwhelmed because everyone was saying that she ate, and I didn't think she was even around that much to eat.
Anyone who says the intro ate.
She also looked like she was wearing a bad wig.
Yeah.
You're right.
She was very cryptic energy.
No
again,
her makeup
just
people.
staring into your soul.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cast list and I see Commander Zhao as a main cast member this season.
Was he in this episode?
He was not in this episode.
Oh, yeah.
You
I'm
think-
getting
I mean,
excited.
Shut up if Commander Zhao is in this episode. That's all
You think I would have
He was
not
in
have
the
mentioned
background. You
him?
missed
Well,
him.
it's not Jason Isaacs, whoever voiced him in the original series.
Oh my
So
God.
Jason
The
Isaacs.
the Zhao eyes in the movie are so legendary.
what do you mean? What are you talking?
You don't remember the Zhao eyes?
I do remember. I forgot.
Asif Manvi, I think, is Zhao.
I forgot. You're talking
Crazy
about when they're
eyes?
in the Northern Water Tribe, right?
I
with
don't
the
remember
fish.
when. I think so. I have to say, if this episode is any indication, I am extremely pessimistic about the show's portrayal of Zhao, because Zhao is
Yeah.
100% camp in the animated show, and there's 0% camp in this episode.
I don't know.
so
I'm really excited about Zuko being really whiny to him, though. Like, that's gonna be so good.
that would be good.
I still want to shout out Paul Sun Hyung Lee because he's killing it. He's the perfect Iroh in my eyes.
He's my wife's favorite. She's like, this is the best.
Your wife is based. I wish she was on this podcast.
She's very adamant against, like, she's like, no. I keep asking her. And
She's
like,
with me in spirit.
Iroh, the only standout performance from the movie, right? I think people thought.
Oh, yeah.
It's really the most rich acting character, I think, in
It
this
is.
show. So I think there's a lot there. Did this episode give a lot for Iroh? I don't really think so. I have actually. I do know one thing we are going to get more of with Iroh. So I won't mention it. But I do think the show is going to want to give him more material, so that'll be interesting.
I really enjoy. He's like, I can't wait to have more conversations with you while you're imprisoned on my boat.
Paul Sun Hyung Lee, also I think the most famous actor of the ones we've talked about so far. I mean,
Everyone should watch Kim's Convenience. It's a very good show.
Yeah, that's mostly.
I was
known
thinking
for
about adding that on my Netflix list.
It's really good. I'd recommend it.
And we will see Daniel Day Kim as Ozai. We have not seen yet.
My wife is like, where is he?
I mean, I've heard him in other shows too, and I just can't unhear Hiroshi. It's very jarring. It's just his voice.
And it's kind of a spoiler, but I do know the season's incorporating Azula more, so
Yeah.
we'll see how that plays out.
One-
No Toph though.
That's fine.
Oh, it's because they hate me in particular.
So we'll see.
I know we talked about Zuko a lot, but in terms of, like, he's an artist in this show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That's a good
what
point.
a creep.
What about him? What do you think of him frantically scribbling an image of Aang?
Frantically
all-
scribbling the crappiest little like
Are you serious? I thought he was good.
Okay,
he
so-
drew like the most basic outline. Is like, yeah,
Okay,
this
can
is
you
the kid
do
I'm
that
looking
in like the little bit of time he had though? I don't think
While
so.
being angry.
Yeah, it was the only identifiable thing on that was the arrow. Like
He had-
it was
well,
like
we also talk about-
anything else? He has an arrow on his head, man.
He has statues of different avatars on
Okay.
his
Oh yeah,
shirt.
he had the
has
stat.
thought
I like
that was
that.
weird.
They
journal.
look
I
like that.
said
about
he was
every
an
avatar.
of-
He's a fanboy.
That's
He-
what
So
He's drawing pictures of the avatars.
Of,
He has notes
are
and
we
drawings.
saying hidden Zook Aang?
Obviously.
Are we
yes,
saying that?
always, 100%.
But
Clearly.
well, obviously yes, but also he's just an Avatar fan. Like even on the boat, he's like, they say Avatar
Just a big
Kyoshi
Avatar.
was
Just a
like,
big fan.
Was like Avatar Weeaboo when I saw his
Yeah.
and then when
I guess he is, honestly.
he's like Avatar Kyoshi Sugoi. Oh my god.
Tanya said, "Oh, he's the Zodiac killer."
yeah, it's giving serial killer.
and then when he draws Egg, my wife goes, "Yowie!" Just
Yeah.
He did it so fast. I kind of was like, I have in my notes, forget the throne. You could be an artist, like
Right?
the Fire Nation's greatest
Yeah.
artist.
yeah.
Greatest.
Really,
artist,
with that
but-
drawing of it.
Yeah.
Banksy.
Banksy.
Is that his name? I don't remember.
That is his name. I really enjoy. No, I was his doodles and then Aang stole the book, so I'm curious to see.
That's hilarious. I'm like, it's his diary.
He listen. All I'm gonna say, he loves that diary. He is not happy.
Dear
I
diary.
don't even catch. Aang takes the book he's
Yeah,
looking
he
at.
take
I
it.
don't
He takes
He
the
tucked it in his belt.
His and it's got all his information on like.
Dear diary.
Avatars. You
Today
just have to
I
take
found
it
the
smart.
most
Take his
beautiful
intel away.
boy I've ever seen.
No, I also like he draws that and he puts it up, and then it looks like he just sets the whole room on fire. So,
Yeah, I was
Oh.
concerned that he was going to set the ship on fire, but
It's a metal ship.
he just had a moment.
Well, there's a lot of paper in that room. That's all I'm saying.
I'm looking for other good lines, or good in quotes from that one. Aang at the end says, "I'm the Avatar, and this is just the beginning."
Yeah, I thought that was.
Yeah.
It's kind of stupid. Yeah.
It would have been better.
Honest-
if he said,
I mean,
"I'm the
honestly, I just
Avatar,"
thought-
and I got to deal with it.
Aang at the end, it's like, oh, actually now, yeah, he sees Gyatso dead, he calms down. Katara hugs him, which is key, and then he's like, "Actually, now I accept my responsibility. Their deaths aren't going to be in vain. I'm going to master all the elements." It's like bang, bang, bang. Okay, we're fine, sure.
Like you woke up 10 minutes ago.
I think it might have been a day at that point.
He also didn't really linger on the fact that it's been 100 years. Like that's like literally like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, that's
if,
true.
I were to go into a coma or something,
He accepted
and
it.
Time has gone by.
This episode does not linger on things that the animated show does linger on, which they should, because it makes more logical sense. 100 years later, just bang. Aang is the Avatar. Really no, Aang's the Avatar. Sure, okay, that's not a big deal.
Also, Grangan clocked that on, like, she's not wrong, but she has
how
no
did she know
evidence,
that?
no basis.
That's an airbender. You're the Avatar, aren't you? Like, all right,
we just yada yada through all of like the second episode and then all of the third episode of Avatar. I guess fine, but I don't know. We needed to see a bunch of people burn to a crisp.
No,
see, that's what I'm getting at. I'm a little bit more concerned. Like, it's more important that we see the fighting than like
it's
the
not.
actual like facts. And I'm like, that's why I'm like, who is this show for? Because if you're a new person watching, you're like, what's going on?
Honestly, they should have put a dragon in the beginning. Because Game of Thrones and also Sozin did have a dragon.
Dragons are so hot right
now.
Sozin had a dragon.
Right.
The only actual Game of Thrones reference we should be making is to the White Walker battle, which was way too dark, and I definitely thought that about.
That's what was happening with the
beginning scene, and then also the battle scene.
Yeah.
Which I know this is like a plebeian complaint. You're supposed to have your TV calibrated, right?
No,
I had all my lights. I had all my lights off, and I
don't think every single person has their TV not calibrated right.
Just edit it in post so that people can see what's going on. It's not.
I guess I
look,
will
I
at
need
least
to see.
probably
It doesn't
not
have
see
to be
more.
like I was there.
Yeah, no, this is like at the end of the day, this is like a modern like streaming drama live action show. So we're gonna see things like dark battles. We need to see battle scenes. I do think that's a real thing. We're gonna have to have action scenes in here. I'm more hopeful for future because there's some great Aang and Zuko fights that you can do. There's there's better, I think, action scenes than the first few episodes had available to them. So maybe that won't be so much of a constraint. But yeah, definitely expect like mandated action scenes every episode.
I am also more interested in fights that are more equal versus like we're just gonna literally murder everyone.
Yeah, it was a massacre.
So that'll be exciting to see. Like, granted,
yeah, we got Sokka versus Zuko and then Aang briefly. I like seeing
Sokka versus Zuko fight was necessarily fair.
No. He held his own.
He did really well.
I will say the Earthbender in the beginning also did. He did his best.
I like that guy. He's my favorite character.
Rip.
What? He steals some scroll that was apparently planted.
He's a rebel.
We want them to go to the Earth Kingdom. Man, sure.
Here's the thing I find funny about that. Ostensibly, nobody knew or had any inclination you were going to attack anyone.
You could have just kept it a secret to start with.
There's no reason to be like, oh, I'm going to send all these dumb idiots to the Earth Kingdom.
What practical impact did it have? Would there have been Earth Kingdom security at the Comet Festival, and now there wasn't?
No, it was. The more I thought about that, the more strange I found that whole thing.
Yeah. I think they were just like, we want to have this really cool fight. How do we justify it?
I mean, if I can give a charitable interpretation, if maybe the Fire Nation needed to cross Earth Kingdom, or I don't know, cross some territory to get to the air nomads, which
okay, that's fair.
That would have been a nice type of thing to get into.
They just fly over the ocean the whole time, like with doing the.
Because we just skip to them there below, and then they go, yeah.
Or
you would think we would see a map, by the way. I feel like maps are
right. Where's the map? Where was our Game of Thrones, like the whole map?
I would like a Game of Thrones intro sequence with the Avatar
That'd be fun.
I'm kind of irritated there's not in like the rest.
I mean, do I actually want that? Probably not, but like in theory.
Also, it would have been funny. Like that would have been so funny.
Yeah. And what other anything else on our mind that we haven't talked about yet? Anyone?
Aang getting the keys was really funny.
Yeah, he right away he's just like yoink from the guard.
He was like, "Y'all are so easy."
Such a goofy kid. Ooh, wacky.
That's definitely way slower on the. Not that it's even very slow in episode 2, but it's like of original. But it's like so fast. The whole boat sequence. There's no fight on the boat deck. That could have been a thing. You would think that's like maybe one of the better action sequences towards the beginning of the show. You would think we would do that.
But they were like, "Nah."
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't introduce the Avatar State until they got to the Southern Air Temple.
We're going through and we're like, oh, they could have done this. I don't want to be like, oh, we should have done this from the show. Like,
yeah, no, I'm not saying we should have done it. It's just,
but I am doing that just because it's so similar, and I guess that's the thing that annoys me. It's like obviously we have to just go, what did they do? What didn't they do? There's some lines that are the exact same.
Right, and that's
it's
the
just because they're going so similar here. And honestly, again, my favorite part was something that was only like they expounded upon these minor flashbacks from the show into this more extensive seeing the Southern Air Temple, as it was in the past. I just would love more of that type of thing.
I'm just like, what are they doing? Why are we here?
Or like I know they're towing the line between doing a shot for shot adaptation versus putting a lot of their own flavor into it, but a lot of the time so far it seems like the changes they make don't really serve a purpose other than to make that change.
Well, it's like if I've seen a lot of people online, complaining, and then I watched the episode and I'm like, nothing was egregious. They didn't shoot Appa. Like, I'm not.
Well, I mean, I think that showing the genocide was a bit egregious, personally.
Yes, that's fair. But I already knew they were going to do that before I watched
Thoughts on Appa? I thought he looks pretty good.
He's amazing.
Is Dee still doing all of the animal voices?
He is not.
No. Who is? Because they're doing a pretty bang up job.
Some dude.
Great.
That is not wrong.
Shout out to some dude. He's
Matthew Yang King. Okay.
Why did I think you were going to say Matthew Mercer? He's everywhere. Okay.
He does. By the way, another change. Momo, not in episode. Not
as
from.
As soon as the episode ends, my wife is like, "Where's Momo?"
Not from Southern.
Oh
Air
yeah,
Temple.
they didn't find him there.
So either we start next episode and Momo is. Are they still at the Southern Air Temple at the beginning?
It starts with them leaving, I think.
They're leaving, so no Momo there. So maybe they'll find Momo in Omashu, I guess. We know he's coming at some point.
I know where they found Momo.
I'm pretty sure the next episodes are Kyoshi and then Omashu.
It's really not as big as it's going to be very anticlimactic.
If Momo was hiding in Aang's like shirt and they didn't notice until they left, that would be good, actually.
I think
shirt, and he wouldn't notice.
Yeah,
because there's that type of thing. I don't remember exactly how they did it, but Momo I think
Momo does spend a lot of time in his shirt.
He does, but I think it's noticeable.
I think it's
to the person wearing the shirt
in the trailer, like where he just appears on Sokka's head and he's like, "I'm here now."
Yeah, that's fine. And Momo from the trailer looks good. We'll see.
There was
Appa.
No, go ahead.
Appa, I thought he was good, and that was the first image we saw of this show. Was like, oh, Appa. Oh, actually, the visual effects look pretty good. I don't know if this Appa is the same. I don't remember, but visual effects I thought pretty good here for sure. All around. The bending. Like we mentioned,
I was really worried about the bending, but I am quite pleased.
I want them to not do as much slow motion. Like every fight scene has at least 2 cuts of slow motion that are
I don't remember.
Not necessary.
We'll see. One random. Go ahead, Jeff.
In the category of things that they could have done from the show or from the animated show, when Zuko did his big fire blast at the end, like. I thought that would have been a good opportunity to do like a tag team with one of his crew members, right? And then kind of...
Or with Iroh even, yeah.
Well, yeah, so I didn't even think of Iroh until we were thinking of how did the show do it. Well, they did it with Iroh, and I thought, yeah, they could have done something. I mean, because of those throwaway lines that his crew had, I thought, oh, can we have some more characterization of Zuko with his crew, right?
Yeah.
They're just being himself.
That would be a great expansion. I agree. They call out G by name. I think if he's more of a character, that's like a good use of expanding the show. Like they could have made Sokka's lieutenant guy more of a character. Like that sort of thing. I think that's good use of the show. Expand upon these types of people who don't get much screen time.
Yeah. There was a weird line. I'm looking at your outline now where And well, he says you're like.
I tried to
Sokka,
quote the dumbest lines.
that he's the bravest person I've ever met, and no one's ever fought for me before. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Gyatso is fighting for you, not just at the massacre, but like your whole life. He's trying to like
that's kind
stand
of
up for you with the
right.
like the monks. Like, are you, what kind of line?
In his defense, he didn't know.
No, not even about the massacre. Just like defending.
Oh no, I mean
with,
about
like,
the council. He didn't know that either.
No. Just like in general, like standing up for him. Like he's my friend. He like needs.
No one's ever fought for me. You get the impression that he's like ostracized in the Southern Air Temple, and we didn't really see that. I guess we saw other kids
like I could see that with the kids
want his abilities.
At least I think he was like well aware that Gyatso always had his back, so that seemed pretty out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless he was being like very literal, like no one's ever put their life in danger for
right.
me.
Yeah.
There is.
Yeah, if you take it literally, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Okay. Starting to wrap up. Mel, anything else you're thinking about to mention?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything that I had written down.
Nice. Delaney, anything top of mind?
I really enjoyed the costuming. I think the show looks great.
I just felt so immersed in the Southern Air Temple, and then we get to the Southern Water Tribe. I also felt very immersed. Like I get what we said before about maybe being a fan costume. I feel like there's no way to do this type of thing, like super subtly. And I think we'll get used to it as we go. That's another interesting thing. Is like how much are we feeling immersed in this world as we go? So I guess we can kind of track that.
No, my wife was like, how does Zuko not see the like orange and yellow like boy through the gate?
Through the gate. True.
You know, on that note with the costuming and being immersed, like, I did notice when he was in the Avatar state and he's lifting up, you get a good shot. This is totally random, but you get a good shot at his feet, and they've done something in there which wasn't in the original animated show, with like having some fabric ties go underneath and kind of secure everything to his legs, which probably makes a lot of sense when you're flying around in the air and you need to keep everything on you. Thought that was an interesting practical touch.
Nice. So Avatar state visually, I thought it looked good.
Yeah,
I'm
a big fan of the tattoos, honestly.
The tattoos,
the
Avatar state, all this stuff that we're like, can they even do this in live action? Honestly,
they did really good.
Yeah,
they did like all this visual stuff. Like
also,
that's
they
not
made
the
him shirtless just so we could see his tattoos. That was the only reason.
Oh, I thought he was gonna wake up in that pile of furs traumatized. You really did that to a little vegan child. Like you didn't think he was gonna.
Oh, you're right.
More Aang goes in the Avatar state remind me, Southern Air Temple episode. Katara hugs him to calm him down?
No, she tells him that it's okay to like be in pain about the people you
But she calms him down.
Yeah, she says Sokka and I are your family.
Versus this show, which is a big
hug.
Cat Aang moment. Versus this show, he just remembers Gyatso and calms down. Yeah, I'm salty, but that's okay.
I'm also salty. Same. I was like, it was supposed to be Katara.
I'm trying to throw shipping out of the window because, like Mel mentioned, the age difference is very obvious.
I mean, it's. I think they're the exact same.
Or it's
ages
not
as
even the age
characters.
difference. It's just they're very young, both of them.
It's just like Avatar. We should remember the characters are like known for looking way older than they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like Azula's supposed to be 14 or something in the show, right? And it's like,
and she also sounds older. I mean, Gray did a great job, but.
So it just translates differently into live action.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I was like, even though they didn't do any big Katara Aang moments until the hug, I got drawn in. They're talking, even though the dialogue's kind of nothing. They're talking. He's on the roof originally, and then hugging at the end. So as much, even if I didn't want to ship it in this show, I'm in. I'm in again.
Come
it's
on.
happening.
So if they're looking at each other, I'm happy.
Guys.
Yes, I agree.
How am I? Never mind. I feel like I would have been the
you'll be in
shipper.
now. I mean, I guess.
I'm in, but I'm not as invested in that specifically.
So if we do see Jet, will we have any sort of love triangling going on? If we're not doing much of Katara Aang, how can you do love triangle with Jet type of thing? So I think that's interesting. When we'll see, and I do know a spoiler of when Jet will appear versus the original show, which will be interesting. So we will see how that goes. And yeah, I don't know. Any other romance? Okay. We'll talk about it as we go. We don't need to get into it now. Jeff, any other things from this episode you want to mention?
No, we covered everything pretty well.
Cool. Who didn't I ask? Allie? Anything else?
The music, I think,
Yeah,
was
good call.
pretty phenomenally done.
Yes.
But I'm also speaking about other episodes as well, like the entire score.
So they're purposefully using elements and even full themes
the
from
leitmotifs
the
are there
animated
for
show.
sure,
Yeah.
and also expounding on like the melodies of the original score. I'm following the composer as well. He did a phenomenal job. I can't remember his name. Oh, Takeshi Furukawa.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. I it wasn't as prominent to me, the music in this first episode, as I would have imagined, I guess.
Yeah.
I only started noticing it towards the end.
Yeah, like I remember the music specifically when Aang goes into the Avatar state. I was feeling it more.
I was just missing the OG intro the whole time.
Yeah,
the outro.
They keep the outro,
Yeah.
though. Although I thought they could have done something visually with the outro instead of just the black
Yeah,
credits.
it's a little annoying, but Netflix.
But they keep the music, which is nice. Yeah, when will we get Into the Nighttime Sky? That's the real question.
Which is actually
the
the Avatar's love.
Yes, basically the Cat Aang theme.
No,
basically.
Avatar's love.
As it's used in the show.
I forgot on one more costuming thing. Sokka's warrior costume. So, like, I know I know we're of various opinions here. I thought that several of the costumes looked very unworn. Like, does this look? This kind of looks brand new.
Yeah, that's true.
When Sokka put his warrior costume on, it also looked fairly brand new. However, that could have worked. Like, if that was the only thing that was brand new, it's like, oh, that's an obvious sign that he doesn't use it that often. Like, very unpracticed.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
He puts it on just to like bully.
Yeah, I feel like the Southern Water Tribe did. Now that you mention it, felt very pristine looking. I guess without to some extent, and it's maybe supposed to feel a little more run down. I don't know.
And that's the only gripe I had about the costuming. Like stylistically, it was all great. It was just looked new.
Nice. It is a good point for sure. Yeah, interested to see how all this visual stuff tracks throughout the show. And that's probably what I'm most excited about. Maybe the writing will get better. We'll see. So some of us have already seen. But next episode is Kyoshi. What is it called? It's called Warriors. What a great name.
Isn't that a what's it called? Like an Imagine Dragon song or something?
You might be right.
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know. Why not?
This might be a dumb question. I might be getting episodes mixed up. Is the Unagi Kyoshi Island?
Yes, that's Kyoshi. Yeah,
was checking.
No, I want.
So that is episode 4 we're getting into.
Unagi
it's interesting,
good.
And then episode 3 is Omashu, which is episode 5. So you would think we are not on a great pace for finishing the season, but I don't.
I'm really confused. Like I'm baffled.
I am anticipating stuff happening next episode that did not happen in Kyoshi, but we'll see. And I'm interested. Will they spend the whole episode there? I'm also interested to see that. Or are we traveling at all?
I'm kind of missing the thematic consistency of the animated show, where it's like the boy in the iceberg, the whatever.
Yeah.
Here it's like Aang is a person, Warriors is not, and
it's a noun.
One of episode 5 called Spirited Away. So we're just using that name. Okay.
Are we gonna do Miyazaki titles of episodes now?
I mean, it is a term outside of the Miyazaki.
Yes, but you know,
Suki's delivery service. I'm kidding.
Why Suki?
I don't know, because it sounds like Kiki.
Is it in book 1 or book 2? Is it Heibei the panda?
Heibei is book 1.
Heibei. Okay. I wonder if that'll.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, and I'm also very interested to see the spirit world and what they do with that. Okay.
Oh yeah.
We got some interesting stuff coming up. Send us your feedback for potentially incorporating into future podcasts. podcast@overlyanimated.com. Please just put in the title of the email what episodes you are spoiling. Check out overlyanimated.com for other podcasts. If you want to support us, you can join the Overly Animated Patreon. You could even just do it for this month to support this podcast series. Patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Caroline, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, Steve, Michael, and Phoenician. I do think I'll put these podcasts on the main Overly Animated feed, although it is not animated. But interesting.
CG.
It's
CG, right? So there's animation. That's fine. It's Avatar. It's the animated world. It counts. We're all
At least half animated.
Yes. Any final thoughts.
I'm okay if we just skip Ko.
Why?
Because he's
Don't
probably
say that.
scary.
I know who's voicing Ko,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
it's a
say,
choice.
It's not.
Who is it?
Oh,
It's a big name.
We'll get to it.
I'm so
It's a
scared.
big name.
You're gonna have
it's
to remind me after
so
this.
scary looking.
We'll see. Next Warriors. Expect that hopefully Monday morning for your podcast feed. Oh yeah, and you can subscribe to the From the Spirit World feed. I should have said this at the beginning. The Netflix Avatar feed dedicated for this podcast, or the general Overly Animated feed. Any of those places, or YouTube.com/Overly Animated will also post them there. Any of those places to not miss anything from the series. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.